Hello, Future Force here. Just giving you a heads up about some audio issues that I have struggled with during this episode of the podcast. My voice has unfortunately been captured in an awkward manner due to the way that my voice is set up. We did not realize that during this entire podcast episode recording, my voice was being captured by a separate microphone elsewhere in the room instead of the proper microphone. Thankfully, it was still being filtered by voice mod, so it still sounds alright, but it is a little bit tinny, a little bit distant. You can still hear me, because I've amped it up, but it is a little bit off. This is a really awesome episode, however, so I decided to keep it around, do my best to salvage it, so hopefully it's not a big deal, hopefully it's alright, and you guys can still enjoy it. Past Force, take it away.
Hello there, everybody! My name is Force to Wrecked. I'm joined once again by my co-host,
PowerCore 2000. Hello.
Only took him a couple of seconds that time. One of these days he'll get it flawlessly.
0.3 second delay. That's an improvement.
And welcome to another episode of the Data Upload Podcast. Still as generic fucking name as ever, but we're joined by somebody not quite generic as fuck today. We're joined by the enigmatic, all-powerful High Priest of the Space Butterfly. And all the other jokes and references. I just had to go as old school as I could there. Wonderful Jesse Cox, how you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be on DUP.
The Dupload. Yeah, that's what I've been calling it.
It is.
I'm happy to be on DUP.
It's a joke yet. Oh no, it's DUP.
I figured that out last week. I'm like, it's Dupload. It's the Dupload podcast.
Thrilled to be on DUP. Very excited.
We're excited to have you, Jesse. Here on DUP, only the finest.
Yeah.
So to let everybody who hasn't seen this, who hasn't been a part of this yet, know what DUP is about, what Dupload is about, is we read.
No, we're going with this now.
Or other. I was going with it anyways. Jesse just happened to bring it up. I'm glad he did. But I was going to do it anyways.
You named it this.
We did. Yes, we did.
I did. I didn't know the implications at the time.
I didn't either. I just figured it out. So, today on the Data Upload Podcast, as all days, I don't know why I said today specifically, we are going to be reading some SCPs and or other things if guests happen to bring other things or we decide to switch it up at some point. Today it's going to be SCPs as always, and that's fantastic. We're going to go roundtable. Jesse being the guest, you're going to start us off with yours, and it's going to be PowerCore, and it's going to go to me, and we're just going to kind of read through them together, laugh at them, talk about them, blow our own minds together, and then we're going to talk about D&D items, creatures, concepts, situations, scenarios, settings, or just other game things. Could be video games. PowerCore goes into video games a lot because he does his own video game coding and design and stuff like that. So,
and I am a video game character on brand.
Yeah. This is kind of anything that your mind comes up with when reading this. We write them down, write little concept blurbs down, and then if I'm not a lazy fuck, at some point I actually stat them out and create the actual concepts, which I use for things like the burning bands of Bobble, which were actually in effect in a recent session that my players didn't see because they didn't get to that point.
Oh, that you tease. You would tease me with D&D items in our campaign.
So, Jesse, you have something for us. You've found something that has blown your mind.
We're starting with this. We're starting with this.
We're starting with this.
Yes.
Start with a guest. It's how we do.
All right. Well, I was aware of this.
Please link it in the chat as well, so that we can read along as well.
Yes. So I was aware of this SCP's existence, but not for the reasons that. So you'll understand before we actually started this podcast, these two fine gents got to watch a man be like, "What?"
It looked. I'm gonna say something that's the middle person on the show. It looked like watching my dad read something. Honestly, it was just kind of like the far off look.
It felt like that because the way I know this is not the way it's described here, and then I learned a thing. So there's like layers to this. Come with me on an adventure. This is SCP-789.
Hold on, let's check the history. Let's see who this is by. You can click the history at the bottom to see a list of everyone who's ever edited. So this is by Dexanote. So thank you very much, Dexanote, for your content, which we are about to enjoy.
Thank you for the content.
So I guess, how would you like me to start? Would you like me to start with the description first?
Start item number all the way down, and then
boy.
go through the special containment procedures, and then if you still want to go after description, if you want to read the whole thing, you can. We generally swap off between procedures and description, but...
You can popcorn whenever you want.
Yeah, this is SCP-789. It's a Euclid, and it's special containment procedures. All physical telephone and internet connections have been removed from SCP-789. The property is to be examined weekly for the appearance of new connections. If any are found, they must be severed immediately. I wonder what that's about. Weird. Wi-Fi dampening equipment is to be kept active on the property at all times. In addition, a security network over the surrounding 3 kilometers is to be monitored for the arrival of potential civilian prey items. Class B, amnestics?
You got it first try.
Yeah.
Amnestics, that's a word that I never thought I'd read. Are to be applied.
Is the SCP universe's special baby word.
Yeah.
To describe things that they shove into people's heads and make them forget. You
Are
forget
to be
specifically
applied.
what we want. Go on.
Yeah, and individuals are to be returned to their homes. Once monthly, one Class D with a history of child abuse is to be released into the structure housing SCP-789. D Class previously scheduled tests with SCP-204 and SCP-2672 and SCP-3530 have been used historically for this purpose. Non-Class D personnel working with SCP-789 are to be subjected to psychological screening. Unfit personnel are to be reassigned.
So apparently there's 3 SCPs where being involved in them gives you a history of child abuse.
Huh. The PTSD-inducing SCP?
I guess.
If you want to speedrun it, I mean, not the trait I'd want to speedrun personally.
No. And all this precaution is because this SCP is well, here we go. Description. 789 is an entity which resides within a well-kept, if apparently abandoned, 3-bedroom, 2-story house located on the outskirts of blank, redacted, North Dakota. Foundation databases contain no records of unrelated abnormal events in the area's history. No anomalous materials have been located in the house's construction. When the house is connected to the internet connection, SCP-789 will manifest first as a working desktop computer with a webcam controlled by a pubescent child.
Oh no, it's a streamer. It's an SCP streamer.
This is me.
The entity will spend several hours a day utilizing internet chat programs, contacting and interacting with adult civilians in the continental United States. SCP-789 appears to be targeting pedophiles, fabricating complex yet believed stories, and utilizing video chat programs to lure and gain its contacts' trust. SCP-789 seems to be able to keep track of detailed information for several dozen contacts at once, and has not yet been recorded using the incorrect form while interacting with a familiar contact.
That one paragraph just reverse Uno'd me right then and there.
Oh, just wait. This is what's crazy. Just wait for the payoff of all this, because trust me when I say this is not at all what I expected. I went on an adventure to get here.
This has gone 3 different ways from what I expected already.
Trust me, it's going to go a whole other way.
I'm ready for this fucking ride, Jesse. Please.
Oh, get on board. We're about to get off on the exit to Crazy Town. All right.
God.
Over the course of several weeks, SCP-789 will attempt to convince select contacts to come visit. Upon arrival, prey individuals are invited into the house by the humanoid component of SCP-789. Whatever that means.
Jesus! We're going
usually,
Mimic House again?
Yeah, kind of.
I'm thinking it's Chris Hansen, the SCP. That's the
I was literally going to say it's a young Chris Hansen.
Usually, the prey item is led into the kitchen or bedroom. The entity appears to manifest basic furnishings for the rooms used in the given hunt. Once the prey item is made comfortable and sufficiently distracted by the humanoid component of SCP-789, non-humanoid components, redacted, crushed into a fine slurry. SCP-789 will soak the slurry into itself, then vanish.
Well,
Okay.
I'm still on this ride.
Oh, you have no idea where we're going.
Oh no.
Upkeep of the property
Kinda
is
wish I did.
apparently performed by
Under control.
SCP-789 as well. The entity manifests one of two middle-aged adult humans, henceforth known as SCP-789-B. These two forms appear to serve as decoy parental property owners and will entertain guests if required to. Interactions with these manifestations has revealed no information as to the nature of SCP-789. All conversation regarding behavior described above is met with polite silence. Upon assault, SCP-789-B will vanish and not appear again before the assailant. The appearance of these particular manifestations never change between encounters. The nature, intelligence level, and origin of SCP-789 are unknown at this time, as SCP-789 has obvious capability to understand and utilize the English language. Research regarding possible sapience is pending. However, it is not suspected at this time that SCP-789 is or ever has been human in nature. And then there's an addendum to this. A compendium.
Oh,
There's an
God.
addendum
That's
to
for
this.
sure.
It says, it's been discovered that the forms SCP-789 utilizes while seeking prey items correspond to those of children of the appropriate ages it has encountered online. For this reason, testing has been suspended until a more easily controlled method is devised. So that's like a thing, right? That's you now understand why when I was reading that, I was like, I had the look on my face, like, what? Because that's not the 789 that I know. That's not the 7. Yes, the 789 I know is the one that I looked up because I was like, oh, this would be hilarious. I can't wait to do this. This is apparently the 789 I know is actually SCP-789/J.
Oh, what's the J?
Don't lose
And
that letter.
I didn't share this with you. I didn't share this with you because I want to save it for this. SCP-789-J, Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-789-J is kept in my toilet, and only I can talk to it. Description. SCP-789-J is a ghost that has a face. Or that is a face. It lives in a toilet, and it talks to you while you poop. Then, when you poop, it goes, no, stop, then stops because there's poop in its mouth. SCP-789-J travels around in butts. You can only get rid of it by wiping. That's the moral of the story. Sometimes it kills other butts and makes them butt ghosts too, but it's always lonely because it is a butt ghost. Addendum: if you fall in the toilet, it eats your butt.
Oh, yeah, so that's what you were expecting to read.
my researcher James, age 11.
Yep. Researcher James is like, oh, there's
that's what I was expecting.
You're expecting buggos.
Yeah.
God.
I wasn't expecting Chris Hansen house. No.
Chris
That's why I looked
Hansen
like a crazy person. I was like, wait, what? What am I reading right now? Yeah.
Do not miss that J. You end up somewhere very different.
Two vastly different stories. Yeah.
Very much so. Holy crap. Yeah, no. These are both good articles, though. Dr. James, the researcher James, is like, I can't remember what originally brought him around. It might have actually been Butt Ghost that originally created him, but there are a whole bunch of J articles that are just a kid writing an SCP article about a thing, and it's Professor James, or Researcher James, or whatever he ends up going.
A prodigy of our time.
He is. He truly is. He truly is. So. All right.
Oh,
thought I could bring that to your attention.
Thank you. I'm so happy this exists now. I never knew that.
The beautiful, beautiful horror.
If you haven't seen it, the picture of SCP-789-J is looks like Santa Claus looking through your toilet. It's very funny. He's
I
like,
didn't even
I'm
see
down
that
here
when I went
looking up
over.
at you.
No,
Yeah.
stop! Oh,
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So
I love him. I'm going to
What
put
is
him
that?
in
Is
my
that a
list
Santa
now.
face in the toilet?
mm-hmm.
I think
The butt
everyone should have a toilet with a butt ghost. You know, never poop alone.
I'm uncomfortable with that. Does he have a choice to be in there?
Well, yeah,
I
you can
think-
travel via butts. So, like, he can just hop in your butt and then leave when you
I
wipe
think
out
I'm
a public
more
toilet.
uncomfortable that he wants to, that he's like, I like being in this toilet. Now, are you gonna poop or what? Like, I don't know. Like, both of the either he enjoys it or he's like, please stop. Which it sounds like either way, I'm uncomfortable. Like, I feel like I
Wait,
gotta go find
He
another
could-
toilet.
It could be both.
There's also some plot critical information here. What happens if you pee? Because he's still in the toilet, but it only
Oh,
mentions
you
he
gotta.
talks to you
If
if
you're
you
a guy, you're looking at him too most of the time. You're staring him right in the
I'm not.
face.
If I'm in a toilet that has a butt ghost, I'm not standing. I'm sitting.
I don't want to put my like butt right down in his face. That's
But
like
that's
asking
what-
for a lot. That's
That's
like
what he wants. This is his existence. Let him
I
fulfill
don't
his
like
purpose.
that that's what he wants. I don't want to give him what he wants. What about what I want? I'm just trying to go to the bathroom.
He's
Well,
only
I
in
not
gotta
one
in
go.
this
He's like, that's
toilet.
it.
He's
You
only
can
in
do
one
it,
toilet.
pal. Well,
I guess
apparently he travels in butts, so maybe not. What if he likes your butt?
Then he just never leaves. Then he's always with you. But if
Yeah.
he's in your butt, you
I-
wouldn't notice him then.
I think at this point we have to have a serious sit down and conversation with butt ghosts about consent. If you don't want him there, then he
Then it's
he
like
just
you have
shouldn't be there.
another person in your butt, like another brain in your butt. Which, by the way, when I was a kid growing up, this is absolutely true.
Mhm.
In the late 80s, they absolutely taught children that stegosauruses had butts in their or a brain in their butt.
I remember this myself. So
This absolutely happened. It makes no sense when you think about it, but for sure they were like, oh, well, the brain cavity's so small, and there's a cavity in the rear of Stegosaurus that, like, we don't know what it does, so there must have been another brain back there to control the back half of the dinosaur.
makes sense.
Which is
I am now
not
the
at all
resident
true.
Zoomer. I have never heard this before in my life.
Oh no, when you say it to people that were like born in the mid 90s on, they look at you like you're a crazy person.
I was born in
Like-
'93, so I've heard this. Mostly
They
as like
look at
jokes
you
and old
like-
research things, but
And I understand it sounds crazy because but we all bought in for some insane reason. We're like, well, the science, like,
you
The
don't know
teacher
better.
wouldn't lie.
Exactly. You don't
Yeah.
know better. These are the smart people. They're the ones doing that research. So sure, that's what they say.
It has
Go
to
back
be
over here
true.
to my TPing
Just like the
neighborhood.
food pyramid. It has to be true, guys. Like, I just need to eat a lot of bread and I'll be healthy. Nothing but bread and pasta.
it's crazy to me that's what we were taught, that they had like a butt brain, which now this ghost, you too can have a butt brain.
You could be a Stegosaurus, all right? You're halfway there. The size is another issue, but butt brain? I think that was the
Size,
biggest hurdle.
Scales, a few other things.
If you fart, does he fly out?
If you fart, does he speak?
Is he not necessarily
Ooh.
your fart in the first place?
Is he like,
Is that not what a butt
"Oh,"
ghost is?
when he like,
Pitch
Yeah.
shifts to his voice. Please save me. I'm stuck in his ass.
You can sing a duet by farting and speaking.
yeah, a lot of questions about this whole butt ghost thing.
I need to know more. Further research is required. We need an entire division of D class
Do
just
not Google
dedicated
butt ghost,
to
and
this.
if you are, please make sure you are over the age of 18 because there's probably some shit. Jesse's already doing it.
I have furiously Googled this as well.
You know what sucks is that
I can't.
almost
This is
all of
all
it
my-
is related specifically to this SCP.
That's actually not that surprising.
We need to talk about the one, the
Ideas.
two, admittedly, we've just written or read. We did one of those
So-
things.
Now, we're going to talk ideas. We're going to start with PowerPoint. You're next to the one.
Ugh.
Did you have any ideas? I had an idea for a thing.
I've had one for both because I'm still Chris Hansen House is still very fresh in my mind. But Ghost is fresh, sure, but Ghost could just go like directly in any setting. If you just find a toilet, one of them is possessed. This poor man, you can go on a whole quest to exorcise him from this toilet.
It's the hand. Butt Ghost's hand, like missing part of his missing body. Jesse doesn't get this reference. Related. Jesse, Mike, you play Legend of Zelda, right, Jesse?
Yeah.
You know the hand that you find in like in the every toilet game that's just like sticking out somewhere? It's like asking for toilet paper and stuff. Mm-hmm. We reference this a lot for some reason.
Well, there you go. If anything, I brought it full circle.
There we go. So is that
sadly not circular enough for his hand to wipe. He's still stuck on that toilet, guys.
Just searching for butt ghosts. They just want to find each other.
There would actually be probably happy, all right? If Han had a butt ghost friend, then maybe he wouldn't need to wait a sec, did it say something about butt ghost and wiping? Oh, he can only get rid. The hand has butt ghost. This is why he needs the toilet paper. Oh. He can't wipe unless he is stuck with him.
Ideas.
But yeah, just a quest to exorcise a toilet because this poor man just died on the toilet. You now have to put his soul to rest. Incense, candles, the whole work.
Now, is he the ghost in the toilet, or was there a ghost in the toilet already?
I would say he is the ghost in the toilet. I think it's made worse because if everyone who dies in this toilet, their soul must now cohabitate this toilet. It just starts to stack overflow.
Is this a cursed toilet? Is this like an Elvis Presley toilet? Like
this is every person who has done. Either every person who has died on this toilet goes here, or there is a special subsection of the afterlife if you die on a toilet. A whole sewer section where now you must collectively live with the others who have died in some septic-related accident.
I feel like that there's got to be like a separate afterlife bit for people who die on the toilet, so they don't have to look at anyone else for all of eternity.
There's always a sewer level. Why not for hell?
I imagine the shame of dying on the toilet is just like, wait, so you were taking a dump? Like, you know,
it carries over.
There's like a separate like hideout for people who die on the toilet.
It's a thieves guild of people who have died on the toilet.
They don't have to like look at, like I don't want to have to look at like Abraham Lincoln and it'd be like, so how did you die? And I'll be like, shitting.
Mm-hmm. Or peeing. Last thing I saw was that porcelain throne.
You'd have to make up some amazing story about it to feel even remotely like.
Well,
I was on the toilet. And here where these zombies came clawing in, and I grabbed the banister.
I feel like depending on where you are, like if you're in heaven, I think an angel would come and automatically correct you if you lied about your cause of death. Okay.
Well, that's why
they
we're talking about
actually
hell.
Check you.
Oh no,
okay, so in hell would be more
I'd definitely be in hell. Yeah, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, they'd be like, oh, he must be telling the truth. I'd be like, yeah, idiots.
It would be more torturous if they had a demon that always told the truth, follow you. He says, no, he just died shitting. It was a very bad Chipotle experience.
That's your torture. There's no actual torture. It's just a demon assigned to follow you around and correct all your lies.
Come on, dude. No.
I actually
You're going to tell people how you died. Oh,
I'm just trying to pick up a hot demonette, man. Can't you work with me? No.
What the hell, dude?
I actually like that as like a curse or something, like a curse that places a demon, like a little imp demon on your shoulder, who like is completely unhelpful, but he like sits there and anytime you tell a lie, he's like, but actually. It's just like a fucking
actually.
Actually.
No, he's lying. It was Chipotle that killed him.
Oh, that's some real volatile stuff.
It was like 3 burritos. He knew it was a bad idea, but did it anyway.
He said, no meat, all beans. That was it. And that's what it killed him.
If you're going to eat the musical fruit, you got to be ready for a big
old ruptured from the inside out. It was awful.
Oh.
It took him days to clean up. Like, oh, God, the smell. Can you
terrify? They just flushed most of him down the toilet.
Which is pretty easy. Half of him was already in the sewer system.
Yeah, it was pretty awful. Yeah.
Oh God. Okay. Going to myself. I did not have one about butt ghost, and even if I did, I'm not saying it now. I did not. But I had an idea of a literal like fantasy troll You know, like just like a big, ugly, kind of like pimply troll guy who just like no general special purpose. They just live in their little cave, but they have this weird innate magic that allows them to interrupt certain divination spells. So all you end up seeing is them. So you try to scry on somebody and just randomly get to see this troll just. He's always aware, so he starts talking to you, and you can't end the spell. And he's just like this really sweet troll guy who's just like, "Hey, hi, welcome to my cave."
Oh, I got a visitor. Hi. It's been so long. Don't hang up, please. He guilts you into trying to stay on the spell. You have to roll the resist charm so you don't feel bad.
Wisdom save or feel guilty and be required to stay. Oh, you're stuck here forever.
I bought this new cabinet. It's got all of my miniatures in it. I have a Tiamat one. I know
they're not painted because it takes a long time, and it's just finite details of these big hands. I can't, I need to get a new spray painter and stuff for the larger scales.
No, if you expect it to miniature painting, he's now your new best friend.
True. You can get him as a little travel buddy. You'll just interrupt your opponent's scribe.
Your set of artisan's tools is a Warhammer miniature gaming kit. You're the only person who could play tabletop miniature games in all of D&D.
Oh man, this makes me want to make a character whose whole thing is he's created this new game that he wants to teach people, but it's just miniature gaming.
Oh gosh, an exorbitant amount of gold too. He's making bank.
This wants to make money, and he wants to share this wonderful new hobby with everyone, where you can fight dragons without actually having to go out into the dangerous wildlands. You can see them soar and just.
You can roll and pretend to be a character you never were able to in life. There's magic and all the magic that we have, but it's safe. You don't have to risk dying or spend years learning it.
Exactly. It's a peasant's wet dream. 5 silver? That's an entire month's rent. Here you go. I'll take it. Oh, I need 10 silver for the exclusive Radagast. Miniature.
I need to buy the tome with the expended races, please. I always wanted to be an Aarakocra.
I want this now.
He has an Aarakocra best friend who stares at him questioningly because he only role plays as an Aarakocra.
All right. Going back around to Jesse. Jesse, you have any ideas? Spurred from our conversation, from what we read?
I mean... I don't know that I have any... I don't know that I have any ideas on what I read. I'm like, what I read's it's dumb.
But from being dumb, the beauty of even dumber things can arise.
We were too busy trying to figure out if we could to stop and think if we should.
No, we should. We definitely should.
There is no should. It's only if we can, we must. That's never gotten us anywhere bad.
No, never.
This will be fine. Yeah.
All right. So next up, Power Core. You actually have one that you've pre-read.
Indeed. Now it's a matter of choosing which. I like this one's my favorite. Yes, out of the two, I think SCP-6451 was my favorite out of the two stories. Okay. I won't tell you what the other one is, just in case we get to it in time.
And there's immediately a picture of somebody who looks like an old-timey,
just a man.
Wow, this one's way more in depth than my poop face guy. Oh my goodness!
Wow, this one is actually way longer than I.
This one's got graphics and it got a whole thing. Wow, okay.
Yeah, these are the new age ones. These are the new age ones.
6th, I guess 7th generation.
Yep. So Poop Ghost and the House are both Series 1. Which are your old school, this is the foundation of what the SCP became.
Damn
this
right.
This is what the new, 7,000 ones look like.
Yup.
This
That's
is the
the
Zoomer
foundation.
generation.
The foundation. It's all right. I've got a couple from the Foundation as well, but I've got one newer one.
The foundation of the foundation. That's some hard stuff right there.
Starts with a rice and notice and everything. Does this one have the author? Ah, it's by J-Dude. Ooh, J-Dude.
No,
I like J-Dude.
thank you for the content, J-Dude.
Thank you for the content which we're about to consume.
I will kick us off with SCP item number 6451, a level 1 unrestricted. Its containment class currently pending, and very quick Ryza notice. Following the events of Addendum 6451.2, portions of this file are outdated and awaiting rewrite. Updates pending. Its special containment procedures. SCP-6451 is kept in a standard humanoid containment chamber in Foundation Facility Area 179. Its description: SCP-6451 is a man of unknown descent, name, and origin, resembling a healthy adult male. SCP-6451 stands at 1.9 meters, demonstrates above-average intelligence, and possesses ordinary biological and physiological functions. SCP-6451's anomalous properties, if any exist, are unknown. Addendum 6451.1 History. The Foundation has contained 6451 since 1952, and a mass transferal of anomalies from one of the... I guess "the" is spelled twice there? In one of the...
Matrix breaking.
The organization's predecessors, the American Secure Containment Initiative, or ASCI. All documents on 6451, should they have existed, were lost in the transfer. Just in case. It is theorized this was a clerical error through research effort, though research efforts are ongoing. As a result, 6451's anomalous properties, history of containment, and identity are entirely unknown. Its status as an SCP object is granted. Its status as an SCP object is granted under the assumption that the ASI had sufficient reason to contain SCP-6451. ASCI. Dropping letters means I read faster. Correspondence with ASCI personnel, both those integrated into the Foundation and elsewhere, have resulted in further knowledge related to SCP. That's an important word I dropped. It has not resulted in knowledge related to SCP-6451. Both punitive and rewarding measures have proven unsuccessful in persuading SCP-6451 to reveal information about itself. All attempts to gain further information from SCP-6451 on itself have ended roughly the same. See most recent interview log.
Alright, so now we can do some fun back and forth. Jesse, would you like to be one of these characters?
You tell me.
Alright,
who am I?
You can be the SCP.
Okay.
I wanted him to be the SCP.
Great.
So did I. I'll be Dr. Trent. Interview. Begin log. Alright, SCP-6451. Time for a weekly check-in. How have you been feeling?
Just peachy, Doc.
Good. That's great to hear. We're happy for you.
Silence.
Alright, you know the drill? You want to tell us who you are yet?
Nope.
Would you be interested in participating in further testing?
Absolutely not.
Are you aware of anomalies relating to yourself the Foundation is not privy to?
I am.
Do you remember why you were detained by the ASCI?
I do.
Would you elaborate on either of those answers?
No.
End log. Behavioral reports. Ready to do this one?
Sure. Or I'll popcorn 4 since he hasn't read yet.
So you pop forward it back to Jesse. Just exclude me. It's alright. SCP.
He's the new co-host.
6451 Addendum 6451.2 Behavioral Reports. The SCP has demonstrated numerous abnormal patterns of behavior over its years of containment, none of which have been determined to be anomalous or the results of the object's anomalous properties. Notable events have been listed below. The SCP has not expressed discomfort when exposed to isolating environments, and measures such as removing amenities from its containment cell have not persuaded the entity to reveal information about itself or comply with the Foundation's demands. The SCP will often request items to be delivered to its containment chamber, which are often approved in an attempt to gauge potential anomalous properties through interactions between the entity and ordinary objects. Requests have included a complete library of Arthur Conan Doyle's bibliography, granted. Several model train kits and associated materials, granted. A television, granted. A complete medieval suit of armor, granted. 17 kilograms of excess wood shavings from a hickory tree, granted. And a coffin that had been modified for use as a bed, granted. No items have provided insight regarding SCP-6451.
He just built a man cave.
With a coffin for a bed.
Did he put the chips on the ground? The shavings on the ground?
Wondering.
I think
Shavings
so.
on the ground?
Like little model train kit, standing armor knight in the corner. Just he's living the life.
Yeah.
Is he wearing the armor?
No,
Yeah,
he's
he's
just
just
standing.
there. Yeah, it's just there to look cool.
All right.
Get it?
I do too. I have some random things around here. I can't argue. All right. Third, the SCP has amused itself by vocalizing screeches and cries for hours on end.
Interesting.
I caught the quotations next. It's made me a little. When confronted about this, it revealed that these sounds were intended to protect its carnal purity.
Yep.
Wow.
just had a very bad pun joke.
Come on, unleash it. You can't tempt us with something so horrific.
Is this an incel because they're in a cell?
Okay, I regret asking you.
Exactly.
You asked for it. You wanted it.
I told you it was
this
bad.
was my fault. I take
knew it was
responsibility
bad.
for this.
It's just a bad pun. Terrible pun. I hold no responsibility. I said it was bad. I said I shouldn't say it.
Now, if he had a computer and they allowed him access and he regularly posted,
SCP
On
was allowed
very
use of a
specific
personal
forums.
computer in hopes it would reveal personal
Oh,
information
no.
about itself.
I didn't read that sentence.
It was live edited in, just as you were saying that. The SCP has since spent the entirety of its time on the internet becoming proficient in the hobby of birdwatching and researching the lives of the first ladies of the United States. The SCP is under the assumption that television personality Martha Stewart is the first lady of the United States and is unable to be convinced otherwise.
You know, incel theory is starting to pan out a little bit.
The SCP will fabricate information about other objects in containment, citing random SCP designations coupled with vague statements. Examples include stating that that SCP-7000 communicated with it in a dream and is currently in a relationship with SCP-6556. These claims are presumed to be false, and the Foundation does not suspect SCP-6451 to have knowledge of other anomalies. The SCP will, at times, perform a handstand until it passes out from asphyxiation, prompting medical attention. When asked about why it continued this behavior, SCP-6451 stated that you could get the medical experience without paying a cent, you'd do it too.
You know, it's kind of hard to argue with that.
And we're back to another interview log.
Everyone reprise their same roles, then I just read the rest of the article.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and read the in-betweens, the graphic depictions of the SCP's behavior.
Sure thing. SCP-6451 crawls on all fours inside its containment cell. Dr. Trenton enters.
Morning, SCP-6451. I hope I didn't interrupt anything important.
SCP-6451 snorts loudly and growls.
New policy going around humanoid containment sites. I have to give these enrichment activities to you. Puzzles! Ooh!
Trenton approaches SCP-6451, hunches forward, and growls again.
I'm an anteater.
Oh, right, I'll just leave the puzzles over here then.
Trenton bends down to place the boxes near SCP-6451. It jumps back and winces in pain.
You're stepping on my snout.
I'm not even near you.
You're stepping on the ants.
You've been crawling on your hands and knees for a fucking week now.
SCP-6451 hisses.
I'm so glad.
This guy's just having fun. This is his entire anomalous property.
He's just having a good time. He's just here.
The only thing anomalous about him is what a Chad he is, fooling the entire Foundation to giving him whatever he wants. SCP-6451 complained of very small entities inside its containment chamber that were procreating inside the entity's nose, prompting Foundation investigation. SCP-6451 frequently will set traps using objects inside its chamber in hopes of catching these entities. On multiple occasions, SCP-6451 has claimed it is possessed by an entity, marking each occasion with an apparent bowel incontinence. Is he shitting himself?
Is he just... Okay.
Damn it, Power Core!
I'm processing as I'm reading. It took me a bit to even understand the words that I just said. This has resulted in multiple interviews ending due to SCP-6451 defecating in front of or on personnel. The existence of these entities is disputed among the Foundation. For reference, I didn't read this far in. I only read the second interview. I didn't know it was another Moose story.
This is supposed to be a palate cleanser. Let's get Buckos in here. These two will be best friends. It's fine.
SCP-6451 has declared multiple days as his birthday and expressed agitation when attending personnel refused to acknowledge a date as a cause for celebration. SCP-6451 once spent weeks alluding to an important event, speaking in vague notions regarding an impact or a reckoning on 1999 February 19th. A delirious SCP... Yeah, I said 89, I think.
You said 99. Continue.
Oops. On that date, a delirious SCP-6451 alerted personnel that the event was going to happen and requested it be transferred to a medical ward. After straining and screaming to itself for 5 hours, SCP-6451 sneezed and promptly returned to its regular demeanor, stating that it was the event in question. Amenities were removed from SCP-6451's containment chamber for a month. The entity remained unfazed. SCP-6451 has expressed great interest in Michael Bay's Transformers film franchise, as these films contain subliminal and overt religious signaling crafted by members of GOI-04, the Church of the Broken God. That was a reference I wasn't expecting. SCP-6451's request to view the films was granted in hopes that a link between the two would surface. SCP-6451 was incredibly engaged by these films, calling them masterpieces, and spending multiple interviews discussing them with personnel at length. A connection to the church has yet to be formed. So, his anomalous property is shit-tasting movies, I understand. It all makes sense now. During early containment,
Don't think that's
when
anomalous.
punitive measures...
There are plenty of people out there like that.
And they themselves are SCPs, alright? The containment features are gonna get real full real quick.
You like the movie I don't like, continue. No, sir, that's not how we do things here. Hold on, I need more tea. Continue reading.
During early containment, when punitive measures were being explored as a means of extracting information from SCP-6451, the entity was threatened with a position as D-Class personnel. SCP-6451, much to the chagrin of attending staff, excitedly accepted this position and proceeded to defy most commands given to it during testing attempts. 2 indirect object neutralizations, a large loss of data, and a containment breach resulted before SCP-6451 was pulled from duty. For 3 weeks, SCP-6451 responded to all questions with the statement, "I'm nobody," and refused to elaborate. This prompted a large-scale investigation of all documents to GOI-000 Nobody, in hopes of correlating them to SCP-6451. The investigation was inconclusive, and SCP-6451's motivation for repetition of this phrase remains unknown, with SCP-6451 feigning ignorance to ever doing so. SCP-6451 consumed both its finger and toenails, because that was very relevant.
Very important.
Because SCP-6451 performs within the above-average margins of intelligence measuring tests, It assumes the majority, if not all of these actions, are performed with the intent of SCP-6451 amusing itself, and not due to medical or mental condition, as several personnel have suggested. Addendum
Alright,
6451.2.
I need a moment to process everything that we read. I'm trying to figure out. I feel like there are usually when people do these types of things, there are hints about what is actually going on in there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But he's just having fun. He's living the best life, as we said before.
He's straight up just a dude. Like he is
Oh.
Yeah, just please keep reading this. This is wild.
I scrolled down to look at some tags and stuff, and I saw a thing. I've spoiled myself now.
Ruined.
We're almost there, though.
Addendum 6451.2 status update. On 2020, 8/29, because I can't guess what 8th month it is.
August.
I guess so. We're going to go with that. August 29th, 2020.
Well, October is the 10th. August is 2 months before it.
Damn. Month math. I'll have to keep that in mind. SCP-6451 died of unknown causes inside its containment chamber, marking 68 years of containment. Both autopsy of SCP-6451 and analysis of the chamber did not suggest a probable cause of death. Following SCP-6451's death, Area 179's Directorial Board held a conference regarding the object's continued status as an SCP file, despite it not displaying any known anomalous properties. This conversation lasted for 12 consecutive hours. Proposed solutions included designating it as decommissioned, -EX, or -ARC, all of which were denied for not meeting the necessary criteria to do so. The conference concluded that the SCP-6451 file would remain untouched in hopes that the ongoing RAISA reassessment of ASCI documents would reveal that SCP-6451's original documentation. 2 days later, on August 31st, 2020, the cadaver of SCP-6451 ejected a small piece of paper from the entity's navel. A transcription of the text, which was written in pencil, has been reproduced below. Congratulations! You found the Guy Man! Collect them all! Checkmark, the Guy Man. You did it! Well done! What the fuck did I just read?
I think this was just a giant, like you were saying, it's just a guy. I think that's the joke. I think that's the point. And he's just supposed to be a funny reference to the idea that it's an SCP, but nobody actually knows what it does, and you just keep reading because you want to know, even though there's...
And then you got to the end, and you're like, well, that happened.
Yep, exactly.
That was 67 years of containment investment.
It's a clever satire on the idea of SCPs as a whole being incredibly narrative pieces. But it was fun.
I kind of like the idea, too, that he was secretly a collectible. If you collect, like, the right number of people... Oh, wait, we're getting into ideas territory, though.
Well, that's
a little nasal piece.
That's a reference to... that's why I figured out what it was. Because that's a reference to another thing in the SCP universe. I'm trying to remember what they're called. He makes children's toys, basically. Oh, it's the Little Misters. It's the Little Misters collection.
Oh, so he was a big mister.
I guess that's kind of the idea. The Little Misters were just a bunch of like anomalous toys that Dr. Wonder Entertainment made that you were supposed to like collect them all. But some of them were like full-on fucking people that had been anomalously like mutated and transformed and shit. So some of them got really fucking grim, and some of them were just like a little brass robot who you could mix and match his parts into different places, like a living Humpty Dumpty, Mr. Potato.
Did you scream violently when you rip off his limbs for your entertainment? You psychopath.
But he does complain of mild discomfort if they're not in the right spot and they don't function quite properly.
Oh, arms for legs, legs for arms. This is the only way I get my jollies nowadays.
Oh, right. Well, that was
a story.
That was the Guy Man. Thank you, J-Dude. Like, actually, what was this actually called? 6451 is... 6451... literally called The Guy Man. So.
What a guy. What a man. And he was truly a family guy. Because I had to shoehorn that in.
I went back to see what 789's name was. Care to take a guess?
Poop toilet?
No,
oh, wait, the original 789.
The one that Jesse got slammed with.
What was it?
Hanson House.
Internet predator.
I mean, that checks out.
Yeah,
It's valid.
Use the internet to pull in prey and save them. So,
The Alpha and the Omega Predator.
oof.
Yeah, for ideas for this one. I think I got one. How about you, Jesse, for the Guy Man? Did he inspire you in any way?
What I like about that is the fact that it is so obviously existing in a world of like meme dad joke, kind of like the den and the guy who's like, just fine, mister. No, you can't. You know, when that first interview reminded me of at the end of Avengers Endgame, when he goes up to Captain America and he's like, you want to tell me about it? He's like, no, I don't think I will. It's the exact same vibe. He has that like old timey, like, I'm not going to tell you what's going on in my life. I don't even know you, bro. And then to have it just him being all like, I don't want to say fraternity, but like the idea of just like, oh, there's booger goblins in my nose. There's people up there like, oh, there's something coming out of me. Achoo. You know, like,
it's just he's a dad, isn't he? He's just a dad. Yeah,
I think it's like a very trolly, super fun kind of goof there. What do I think that turns into? That's a great question. Not a clue. I don't know how you would ever use that in any way, but you know.
So I pulled a little chunk from the second log where he's like pretending to be an anteater.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, what if there was a druid, but instead of actually shapeshifting to the animals, it just pretends to be the animals so realistically that it tricks the world into thinking it. So it gets all the actions, it gets everything. It can't talk. He can't talk. He has to pretend to be the animal as part of the thing. But it's just a dude like looking like me.
I thought that you were going to say he didn't even get the powers. He was just a guy who really wanted to be a druid, but kind of wasn't.
You could go that route too. You could go like a monk who just wants to be a druid so bad. It's just like pretending to be animals in combat
now
using unarmed strikes. I like that too.
No, you're not a druid. You've not been trained in this whatsoever, but I'm a druid. Look, I'm about to turn into a fish. Please don't. Glub, 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 glub. You start suffocating. Please, just stop. I need water. I'm a fish. I'm going to
move into the ocean, please. Wait, are you a freshwater fish or a saltwater fish?
A fun idea I had from this is just the complete inversion of expectations of whatever it is you're aiming for being just a normal dude. So I guess in a D&D or a video game sense, your final boss, his stat block is that of an average human. He is actually just a completely normal person. He has nothing unique about him.
I've always thought that'd be fun, is to just have like a normal person and then something about like just like whatever the normal stats are for like average Joe, and then just throw that person just throw that person into like a world of fantastical fantasy and battles, and then being like, dude, this is my day off. I had stuff to do.
Going to the beach.
I'm not a rogue. I work 9 to 5 at the mill.
You could run a whole campaign on this concept. It's like, this is a non-combat campaign. It's just a role
I think it should be combat. Heavy. I just think that you're just like, dude, you want me to kill this man? I don't even know him.
Like, what did he do? Did he break the law? He's a goblin, and we hate him in this world. That's kind of racist.
Villagers, you're just trying to enjoy your day, and this fucking goblin, or no levels, none of that. You're just normal people, just normal fucking people.
Yeah, and the great wizard that leads you is this guy. He's like, hold on, something's coming. Gotcha.
Buckos just starts singing.
Yeah.
Dad joke
it's
wizard.
a wizard with his butt ghost.
No, butt ghost is here too.
Is it familiar butt ghost?
Yeah, it's familiar as a butt ghost.
Butt
He's
ghost
like, what?
cushion.
It's my familiar, the butt ghost. Oh, I'm back here.
Shut up, you.
God, that cracks me up. Good butt
Behave
ghost.
properly, or else I'm eating Chipotle tonight. Oh no, please, God! He hurts so much. He knows what happened the last time. The winds of magic were not pleasant.
Oh. All right. I got one. And I was gonna go. I have a newer one that can be a palate cleanse,
Mm.
and I have an older one that is definitely a palate cleanse. No poop involved in either of these.
Ugh.
You broke theme, Force. You broke
Fine.
theme. No, Force, the true poop was the fact that you chose a shitty story.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Oh God, man! What the crap, man? Don't.
Don't give me that bullshit. I die a little bit inside every time I make a pun.
Well, you know, it is what it is. There was
I
no joke
expected the
there.
pun there.
There was no joke there. That was the joke. just sit there and stare at you, waiting for you to figure it out.
Inspired by the guy's story. Already another idea.
Yeah,
That makes jokes. He's immune to it. He has no humor.
I'm using the story to inspire my content.
To inspire your
Grow and
life.
develop. So we're gonna read SCP-999.
Oh man, that's a good number. That's a number.
This one was referenced in our last show. It is 2,342 upvotes. It is one of the classics. It is, if you know anything about SCP, you probably have heard of it. It's written by Professor Snyder. Very much for this.
Thank you, Professor Snyder, for the content.
And yeah, so I'm just gonna start this. This is a fun one. This is good. SCP-999. Object class? Safe. Special containment procedures.
Seizures.
Procedures. SCP-999 is allowed to freely roam the facility should it desire to, but otherwise must stay in its pen either between 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. for sleeping or during emergency lockdowns for its own safety. Subject is not allowed out of its pen at night or off facility grounds at any time. The pen is to be kept clean and food replaced twice daily. All personnel are allowed inside SCP-999's holding area, but only if they are not assigned to other tasks at the time or if they are on break. Subject is to be played with when bored and spoken to in a calm, non-threatening tone.
Oh, this just sounds pleasant.
It is so pleasant. Alright.
You want to do the description? You want a popcorn?
Okay. SCP-999 appears to be a large, amorphous, gelatinous mass of translucent orange slime, weighing about 54 kilograms, 20 pounds, with a consistency similar to that of peanut butter.
I was going to say Jello friend, but peanut butter line ruined that image.
Subject size
But
and
it's
shape.
orange.
It is
Orange peanut butter. Gotcha.
Translucent orange peanut butter.
Ooh.
You kind of see through it a little bit.
Oh no.
And this thing's just allowed to roam free.
He's not harming anyone. If he leaves a trail, God, that poor janitor's on suicide watch.
The subject's size and shape is easily malleable, and he can change shape at will. Though when at rest, SCP-99 becomes a rounded, oblate dome, roughly 2 meters wide and 1 meter in height. The surface of SCP-999 consists of a thin, transparent membrane similar to that of an animal cell, roughly 0.5 centimeters thick, and is highly elastic, allowing SCP-999 to flatten portions of its body up to 2 centimeters thin. The surface is also hydrophobic, although SCP-999 can willfully absorb liquids. See Addendum A. The rest of the SCP's body is filled with a viscous orange substance of unknown chemical makeup, though it is capable of digesting organic materials with ease. The subject's temperament is best described as playful and dog-like. When approached, SCP-999 will often react with overwhelming elation, slithering over to the nearest person and leaping upon them, hugging them with a pair of pseudopods while nuzzling the person's face with a third pseudopod, all the while emitting high-pitched gurgling and cooing noises. The surface of the SCP emits a pleasing odor that differs with whomever it is interacting with. Recorded scents include chocolate, fresh laundry, bacon, roses, and Play-Doh.
This is adorable. Real quick, have they expressed how fast it can move yet?
Not exactly.
Not yet, no.
Okay, I got the image that it was slow, but when they mention it pounces, I'm like, oh wait, it's probably faster than what I'm imagining.
The slimes aren't even that slow, like in D&D. I think they're like, depending on the slime, they can still go as fast as someone will go faster than one person. So
That is
it's
terrifying.
an image of like, it's a big slimy thing. It should move slow, right? Nah, those bitches, it's like thinking a bear moves slow. Nah, that bitch can run. It's coming for your ass.
Perma-lubed, ready to slip and slide wherever it needs to be. I don't put an image in your head, Force. You know what? That image is going to stay there. It's going to stay inside your mind because you're not going to speak of it further.
Simply touching SCP-999's surface, which is something I need to do right now, causes an immediate mild euphoria, which intensifies the longer one is exposed to the SCP, and lasts long after separation from the creature. Subject's favorite activity is tickle wrestling, often by completely enveloping a person from the neck down and tickling them until asked to stop. Tickling. Though it does not always immediately comply with its request.
Hey,
Though injuries may
non-consensual,
occur-
but adorable.
Though injuries may occur, the SCP has never been found to purposefully attempt to harm others, and will immediately back away and contract its body into a quivering mound while gurgling in a manner similar to a whimpering dog, seemingly apologizing for hurting someone on accident.
So fucking cute. This is actually a palate cleanser.
It is! That's why I chose it. While the creature will interact with anyone, it seems to have a special interest in those who are unhappy or hurt in any way. Persons suffering from crippling depression, or PTSD, for example, reported having a far more positive outlook on life after multiple interactions with the SCP. The possibility of manufacturing antidepressants from the SCP's slime is currently being discussed.
A little bit darker, but potential.
It's the Foundation. In addition to its playful behavior, the SCP seems to love all animals, especially humans, refusing to eat any meat and even risking its own life to save others. On one occasion, leaping in front of a person to take a bullet fired at them. The subject's intellect is still up for debate, but its behavior is infantile and seems to understand human speech and most modern technology, including guns. The SCP's diet consists entirely of candy and sweets, with M&Ms and Necco wafers being its favorites. Its eating methods are similar to those of an amoeba.
It's just the best boy. I'm
Right.
so happy to know this thing exists.
Addendums. Jesse, why don't you go and take the addendums?
Sure. I had to like double research this. We'll get to it in a sec. All right. Reminder to all staff. SCP-999 is not to consume caffeinated soft drinks of any kind. Last week, someone gave SCP-999 a can of cola along with its usual breakfast. Not only was it literally bouncing off the walls for half an hour, the combination made SCP-999 visibly queasy afterwards, and it refused to move or eat the rest of the day. SCP-999 has thankfully recovered since, but the staff member in question has been reprimanded. Dr.
Poor SCP, it just ate it. It's just like, oh, yummy. Sugary.
Now turned into a weapon, pumping full of caffeine. He is unstoppable. He has a tummy ache after.
Oh boy.
So the next thing here basically is an addendum saying that they released SCP-999 into SCP-682's containment area.
Yep.
So I went to go look up SCP-682 to figure out what the hell that was.
This is the undying lizard. It's its wrath.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. So this is like a really pissed off lizard who hates people. And so I guess he's put in there to like calm him down or something.
I didn't know 682 could talk, though.
Oh, 682 talks. 682 100% talks. There's a whole conversation.
So now it's you two's turn. Jesse, would you like to be, since you're the one reading these currently, would you like to be 999 or would you like to be 682?
You'd also be the narrator.
Or the narrator. Yeah. You can make us do the weird bits.
You know what? You can tell me who to be. I'll be whoever. It doesn't matter.
Powercore, which one do you want to be? You're not allowed to pick the narrator. You were narrator last time.
True. Damn, I could do either. I guess I'll be 999 because I get to have the one line of very riveting dialogue.
Okay, I'll be I'll be the narrator then, and Jesse can be the killing lizard, the murder lizard.
Oh boy. Okay.
SCP-999 is released into SCP-682's containment area. SCP-999 immediately slithers towards SCP-682.
Elated gurgles.
Unintelligible groans, growling. What is that?
SCP-999 moves in front of SCP-682, jumping up and down in a dog-like manner while calling out in a high-pitched squealing noise.
Disgusting.
SCP-682...
It's the lizard voice because he goes,
Yeah.
He's Commander Cobra.
Yeah, Cobra, right? Yeah, we all get it.
We all know. We know how lizards talk. It's fine.
That's right.
Exactly.
You have to talk like this, right? Yeah, no, we're all
That's
because the fork tongue.
Jesse.
Yeah, I can't
I
help
was
it.
literally just imagining like,
Every lizard I've ever known has talked like this, and snakes too. If you got scales, you 100% talk like this. Not my fault.
Scalist. I'll have you know, my grandmother does not have a lisp like I do.
I'm like the James T. Kirk of hating scaled creatures. I've never trusted a lizard, and I never will.
The fork tongue every time.
Yeah. You have to have a whole movie about me changing my mind on the subject.
Why did it have to be snakes?
They killed my boy.
Where were we?
My boy
SCP-682.
grew up to be a scaly. I'm sorry. It was the last thought in my head. SCP-682 immediately steps on SCP-999, completely flattening SCP-999. Observers were about to abort the experiment as SCP-682 started talking again.
What is this? I feel good.
SCP-999 can be seen crawling up between SCP-682's toes, up along his side and around its neck, where it clings on and begins gently nuzzling with its pseudopod. A wide grin slowly spreads across SCP-682's face.
Nuzzle noises.
Feel so happy. Happy.
SCP-682 repeats the word happy for several minutes, laughing occasionally before escalating into non-stop laughter. As laughter continues, SCP-682 rolls around on its back, slamming its tail upon the floor with dangerous force. Dangerous speed.
I'm laughing and stuff. No, stop! No tickling!
SCP-682 and SCP-999 continue the tickle fight until SCP-682 finally wears down and appears to fall asleep, though it appears to be a smile on its face. After 15 minutes with no activity, 2 D-Class personnel enter the room to retrieve SCP-999. When SCP-999 is removed, SCP-682 immediately wakes up and unleashes an unidentifiable wave of energy from its body, all the while laughing maniacally. All persons within the wave's range collapse into crippling fits of laughter, allowing SCP-682 to escape and slaughter all in its path.
Well, that backfired.
SCP-999 quickly rescues as many persons as it can, taking them to a safe place to recover from SCP-682's laughter wave, while agents suppress and recontain SCP-682.
Okay, real quick, what was the plan putting 999 in 682's chamber? You literally just let it escape for a bit and kill more people.
To see if he would make it happy and calm him down. That was the idea.
It made him happy, alright?
Sort
Happy
of
in a new way to kill people?
Sort of worked. Despite the tragedy that SCP-682 had brought upon the facility, SCP-999 has not shown any fear towards the creature, and in fact has made gestures suggesting it wants to play with SCP-682 again. SCP-682, however, has stated... There's a line that is not...
Oh, I get
to...
That feculent... Yeah, that's right. That feculent little... can die. He was swearing, clearly, but it was lizard swears, so you don't know what he was saying.
Advanced lizard swears. As us being non-lizard people, we aren't allowed to say those words.
I mean, like, I wouldn't say that.
It's a reclaimed scaly term.
Yeah, that's like a scaly word. It's not for me. I get it.
That's the S word.
Okay. Memo from Dr. Redacted. While the test was unsuccessful and ended in tragedy, That had to be the funniest thing I have ever seen. I never thought I'd see the day when I would regard SCP-682 as cute. Please send me a copy of the security tapes ASAP.
It was all worth it for those tapes. Humiliate 682 and then never escaping again. We will post this on the internet and everyone will laugh at you.
I mean, this one I think is pretty straightforward. This is like a great slime goof of it being also just like, haha, and it tickles you.
Yep.
Tickle slime.
It's just a happy boy spreading his happiness and his love and his cheer and his joy.
Yeah, I think that's great. That looks very nice.
Tiny little tickle slime in your pocket. He's just always there. He only tickles that small area, but he's there for you.
So, ideas. What ideas are prompted by this strange little killer boy? I have one. But...
Yeah.
You start first. First force.
Yeah, if you have one, let's hear it.
Fine. So, Tasha said he'll laughter is a spell.
Mm-hmm.
What about a jar of ooze that you can take with like gloved hands and wipe on somebody or like sprinkle into food? Anybody who eats it or wipes on them, they have to save against. Literally just save against Tasha City's laughter. It's just cream that you wipe on somebody and it knocks them out with laughter.
Oh no. Material-based laughter. That would be quite the torture device.
Or, you give it to like a comedy clown who like pumps up like a spray tube and just sprays it across the audience and a bunch of people start laughing. And suddenly
it's Bobo all over again. Successful. They didn't laugh at me once, but they'll laugh now. They won't be able to stop laughing.
Now I want a murder clown who uses it.
He honks his nose, and his flower squirts out the laughter juice. Laugh! Laugh at me! It's the only way I have value!
It's not even a murder clown. He's just extremely depressing character. It's basically
He's doing
my life.
His job.
Laugh at me, please! Someone laugh at me!
Oh, that weirdly inspired a roundabout way of an idea. For the idea of like getting laughed at doing psychic damage, that's one thing. He actually heals from psychic damage and self-deprecation. The more you mock him, he actually gets stronger.
I like that a lot. I like that he has, because one of those slime like pseudopod things where there's got to be a way to make it so it's like, what if it's an ooze and the ooze instead of doing that oozy thing where like it splits and duplicates, it's every time that it causes you to laugh, it gains power, so you have to roll against like a constitution or willpower. Again, it would give a reason to have willpower is to not laugh. So you have to do a willpower check to not laugh, and it's like goofy antics. But the more goofy it is, and the more you laugh, the more powerful it becomes.
He is fueled by your laughter. That I like that, and the laughter, of course, doing damage. Turns out this is where Joker gets his laughing gas from. Aerosolized bits of our boy.
Oh, that's horrifying. I'm just imagining this thing finding like, because it's obviously not harmful to the people who are laughing because they're feeding it. So I can just imagine this thing accidentally rolling into like a preschool like kids daycare or something like that. The kids are gonna fucking love that shit. I mean, eating that shit up, but he's just gonna grow.
Ooh, you could, if you were like a laughing god and you benefited from that, just have a bunch of these things. They're non-hostile, but they still force people to laugh to feed you. What are you gonna do? Attack the poor creature?
Oh, you could have like a long con on a campaign where at the very, very beginning, as like a goof fight, they have to fight this thing. And it's like, the town is plagued by this weird slime in the sewers. And you got, right? And then much later on, if and when they return to that town, it's like almost abandoned. And there's only one or two structures remaining. And they are like, there's clearly like a cult or some weird thing happening in the town, and characters that they used to know are now like involved in this weird cult. And it turns out that they've all been blessed with this like gift of laughter from this magical deity that they, right? And basically this slime has, since you've been gone, realized that it gets more powerful by like getting people to laugh. So it created like a cult where everyone is so happy to laugh, and that makes them so happy, right? They've never felt so happy in all their lives, and they're just thrilled to be there. But underneath the town and the sewers, the slime is like the size of the town now. It's this massive entity underground. It's like super powerful, and it's like it wants more. And so now it's going to try and get more people from more places to come to the town. Oh my God! It's going to lure them to the town and make them laugh. And how is it going to do that? By creating a house and inviting people it meets over from the internet.
Oh my God! It all comes together.
And the face in the toilet coming out of the sewers, the slime that makes you laugh.
He's known as the face of the toilet because most people laugh at the whole concept.
That's how it gets you to start.
Oh.
So it gets you to start. You're staying in the tavern. You go to use the bathroom. It's like, okay, so where do I like take the shit in the toilet, in the bucket? No, we have a special facility just for you to. You go in there, and then he just starts telling you jokes while you're praying. It's like,
yeah. As the DM, if you really want to play into this, you deliver each line as best as you can as a joke, and each time your players laugh, that's another point. He's getting stronger. He's going up by one level. Remember
and
all
it's funny
those times you laugh?
Because it's like the voice from the toilet. It doesn't even have to be a face. It's like, you hear it's like someone else is in the bathroom with you telling you a joke. And then, like, oh, yeah, and it lures you and you laugh, and it's like, oh, my God. And it travels around in your butt because it's a part of you.
Exactly.
Oh, my God.
This
That's
is
how it controls
spreads.
its cult members. Yes.
By the end of the campaign, it is actually the size of the planet. The whole world will laugh.
Yeah, you have to kill this thing. Oh, my God. But you can't laugh. And its combat is only telling you jokes.
You know what? This explains why people do weird shit and act like animals and shit too. Why we have the Gaimans, because they're trying to make you laugh because it's inside them and it's growing more of it.
They're avatars of this thing. He's affected them so deeply.
Yes, they're basically trolls. In this world, trolls are just like dudes. Yeah,
it's
perfect.
God. Beautiful.
Perfect.
Well, it all fits together. One giant.
This is a whole campaign. This is evolved truly.
Well, look what we made.
There we go. We've made that thing, and I've written most of it down somewhere. Feels like one shot needs to be run at some point.
It's beautiful. I want to keep it.
Show up like halfway through it. You have to stop it from taking over.
Hey, there's this one monster I'm going to drop in. Yeah, if you guys don't deal with it properly, he's going to become worse than whatever final boss I plan.
So, we have a little bit of time. You want to read another one? I've got a couple more that we can read. I think Power Core has at least one more we can read. We only asked you to bring one, Jesse, so.
Well, I mean, like, so I'm obsessed with, there are ones that are not normal. You know what I mean? Like, SCP-6219 is listed as an abnormality. It's not even listed as an SCP. And so already you're like, oh, I gotta click this. And when you click it, it takes you to a page that doesn't look like normal SCP. And then just like drops you into the... These are the ones I love. They make no sense to me. They're totally weird. I love them to death. This thing is great. Listen to this. This is insane.
All right.
Abnormality 6219 is contained within a windowless 5 by 5 by 5 meter containment chamber with a reinforced locking mechanism. No surveillance equipment are to be put in place within Abnormality 6219's containment chamber, and no personnel are to be allowed to enter Abnormality 6219's containment chamber without authorization from at least 13 members of the Overseer Council.
Wait, hold on 1 second. This is by ND Heckfire. Sorry, apologies, I forgot to say that. Thank you for this.
Thank you for the content. ND Heckfire. You make a team.
Testing and a full autopsy are not permitted. Abnormality 6219 is the designation, this is the description, given to a hairless and gray-skinned humanoid cadaver approximately 2.5 meters in height. Abnormality 6219 does not possess any reproductive organs or any facial features, and instead has a crude SCP Foundation logo carved into its forehead, with various degrees of burnt marks scattered throughout Abnormality 6219's torso and arms.
Your average SCP reader?
Although Abnormality 6219 has been in Foundation possession since data expunged, Abnormality 6219 has not shown any signs of decay. And then it says Abnormality 6219 is a class 1 semi-ontological anomaly.
Which has a footnote. Semi-ontological anomaly, semiohazard, is a disruption of the semiosphere, the medium through which information about reality travels before it is perceived or measured. It results in reality's apparent adherence to some non-real axiom. These types of anomalies are often handled by the Department of Miscommunications. So it's a whole thing that was created. It's like a real thing, the concept of this, not the semiosphere specifically, but semiontology. Just the study of why we think collectively a thing is the thing it is. Why do we think that blue is blue? Why do we think that this is this? Why is our perception
of this thing the way it is?
All creatures refer to things.
If you want to get philosophical about it, that's what epistemology is: the study of truth and what we collectively agree as truth or fact.
Yeah, this is specifically the layer. What is the universe's filter that they're using to pass information down inside of it?
Sure. There's speaking of like things that didn't exist, but if you ever want to go down a rabbit hole of like real insanity, there are probably a bunch of videos, but I know there are articles, I know there are books on it. The idea about the color blue not existing.
Yep.
It's crazy.
A whole bunch of weird stuff like that.
Like if you go down that rabbit hole, you'll find that like for much of human history, most recorded discussion of colors does not mention the color blue. It'll mention different types of green. It'll mention all these others, but blue is like not a color. And then all of a sudden it is a color. And people are like, well, why? When did that happen? For what purpose? But like
Probably
for most of history, no one had that. It is crazy to me. When you think of like certain parts of the Greek Isles and how it has that blue and white painted thing, like, oh no, that's recent. It didn't used to look like that. I'm like, what? What the hell? Where did blue come from?
Like us as humans having everything that we do and our full exposure to colors. Remember, most people did not have this for most of human history. So you might live your whole life not seeing certain colors just because you weren't exposed to them. So you don't need to differentiate like red and orange because you never saw a red and orange thing.
There's also I love reading the articles where they compare different like eyeballs and retinas and what humans can see versus certain types of bird versus like shrimp, and how certain birds and shrimp can see 20 colors and we can only see. There's also, and it's very funny because then always mentions that like women can see a few more colors than men, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah,
because it explains everything. Oh yeah, totally.
Everything about pink.
It explains everything about like color, and it'd be like, well, no, that's not pink. There's like 5 different types of pink, and you're just like, it looks like pink to me. There's a difference.
Pink.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I've had this happen like when I was younger. Yeah, I'm a mid-teens when I was high school force. Now I'm like almost 30, which is
middle-aged force. Gotcha.
I know Jesse's much older, but I still every time I make the joke, God, I'm an old man now. I'm almost 30. But when I get it.
Boomer, literal mummy.
When I was 18 and 19, I'd shop with my mom, and she'd like describe like the different types of colors, and I'd be like, it just looks like pink to me. But now that I'm grown up, somebody posted a picture of 2 different shades of pink, and it was like just like a standard pink, and then it was like a rose tinted pink. And somebody's like, my girlfriend just told me these aren't the same color. Can anybody tell me what I'm missing? And before I'd even read it, I'm like, oh hey, those are 2 cute shades of pink there. And it's like, I don't know what that one's called, but I know it's a different color. And then I read the thing, and they're like, I'm like, oh, huh.
Oh yeah, you learn all sorts of fun little tidbits. But this SCP continues to be strange, and I love strange ones. So, yeah, as we said, it is like this weird semi-ontological thing.
Yep. Blue is a semi-ontological anomaly. Where did it come from? You don't fucking know.
How dare you? I love blue.
Yeah, who doesn't love blue? Any subject mentioning abnormality 6219, whether through speech or writing, as such in this document, will refer to abnormality 6219 as abnormality 6219 instead of its proper SCP designation. So it forces them to change it. Abnormality 6219 was discovered in a previously sealed off underground room at Site 58, during a renovation to expand the west wing of the facility. However, blueprint plans obtained from Site 58's archive show no mention of the room ever being built. The underground room contains only the following: Abnormality 6219 laying on the ground with its hands rested on its chest. A metal bucket full of unidentified reddish liquid. A metal placard reading Department of Abnormalities. Multiple drawings depicting a forested region. A long, thin silver rod, approximately 1 meter in length. A painted stone tablet depicting a flaming iron crown. 2 golden brown metal ingots of unknown composition.
Oh.
A solid, heavy metal door, currently inaccessible as the door's handles and unlocking mechanism was removed prior to discovery.
Oh, so this is Department of Abnormalities stuff. That makes a lot of sense.
Yes, this is like super weird, super trippy. And then they have an incident. On a redacted date, the site containing Abnormality 6219 experienced a total power failure, resulting in a massive blackout and multiple Euclid and Keter class containment breaches. During the blackout, personnel report hearing soft crying and faint screaming emanating from Abnormality 6219's containment chamber. When the power was subsequently restored on the site, a D class was instructed to enter Abnormality 6219's containment chamber to examine any structural damage. The D class reported nothing out of the ordinary, but then noticed a note taped to the chest of Abnormality 6219. The note is written by standard graphite pencil and has been designated Document Abnormality 6219-1. And this is what it says. No one will torture me. My soul will not be in entropy. Behind this mortal bone is a sin you can never atone. I hate the name you've given. I would rather return to the woods of the unspoken.
That text in green, meaning it's a reference to that Feywild place with that plays with concepts and names that I learned about 2 sessions ago.
Yeah. That is the SCP's version of the Feywild.
So, and then it's they don't know what caused the power failure. And that's it. And that's like the entire thing. It's so wild. I love the weird ones that are just like, wait, what?
Yep.
What did I read? What was that?
You can at the bottom, there's a tags that you can see just beneath. Abnormalities is one of them.
Esoteric class.
Yeah, if you click on esoteric class, it's that kind of stuff too. But abnormalities links to, I assume, a bunch of other Department of Abnormalities. Department of Abnormalities does a lot of this stuff. I'm trying to find a specific one because there's one kind of dark, but it's really well written.
All caps undefined. A lot of these are going in the tag folder because they're also not that long.
No,
so these
they're
great.
actually pretty good. Like, there's nursing home, no. I don't know the subterraneans. That's not the one I'm looking for. Companies purchase the building 5832. It's an apartment consisting of a hallway, 2 opposing rooms. I think this is the one I was looking for. Yeah. So this is one I don't want to read it on here, just because it's like it is a content warning, like potentially very, depending on how you read it,
very heavy one,
very heavy and very kind of disturbing. But it's definitely one that is like the very subtle, like what is happening here? But the more you read into it, the more you go like, oh no. But
we're not getting another poop ghost story. Sadly, this is out of that realm.
There is poop referenced at one point, but not in the like
fun ghost
poop
format.
Yeah, it's more of the like, whew. But like just a reference. Like there's one line in here. There's like a list of the contents of the. It's like an apartment complex with 2 different rooms, and one of the contents of one of the rooms includes a Webkin's plush black Labrador Retriever. In several places, the fur is crusted over with an unidentified substance.
Oh no!
Yeah.
That poor Labradoodle.
But But yeah, that's SCP-5832 for anybody who doesn't mind that kind of stuff. Content warning: it is pretty dark. It's pretty heavy. You can read into it. Yeah, fucking Department of Abnormalities is a really fun one because that's what most of them are. It is these things that the Foundation finds. It's like, the fuck is this? Why does it? What? It's like the Department of Abnormalities is like, was this what we were originally and we forgot about all of it? They're all just abandoned sites now? The fuck? What?
Feels like a little bit of quantum fuckery probably happened. It was definitely used to be classified, but whatever had ties to its previous classification no longer is accessible or even exists to us.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of that type. So especially when you get into some of the ontological things, because those are like, there's one that's called, I have to go to a YouTube video to figure out its name because I can't remember at all, but it's called like SCP Object Class Integer or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
SCP Object Class Integer. That's something that should take me to the right one. File 5242. So, in theory, if I just take this and write this is. Yeah, here it is. SCP Integer. This could be a fun one. It's a little bit long. It's not that bad. This could be a fun one to read if for Jesse's like, let's get brain fucky. There you go. SCP 5242. There we go.
SCP Integer is what it's called?
SCP Integer, yep.
Oh, interesting. Whoa.
So, Department of Music
Got real
Communications
fancy.
notice. A semiohazard informally is a fact of the universe that just shouldn't be true, but functionally is. They're inherently abstract and affect the way that we think and communicate about reality. 1. Intro to Semi-Ontology by S.M. Cass Esquire. A particularly costly example of one such fact is the operations of YWTGTSYT are perfectly legal, which is currently requiring the Foundation Legal Department to entirely redraft Texas corporate law. Bureaucratohazards are a subset of semiohazard affecting bureaucratic systems. Such things are facts of baseline reality. Always happened and always will be true. But they shouldn't, and we know they shouldn't. They are part of reality because reality says so, because reality has been pulled inside out by the conceptual nature of semantic equivalence itself. Alas, there's nothing we can do but reframe our definition of baseline and move on. To purposely poke at the bugs in the simulation is to invite a crash. Read on, knowing that you must accept what the universe says is true, even if it doesn't make sense. 1 plus 1 doesn't always equal 2. And so this is SCP Integer. Level equals...
N to the power of _0.
That might be an actual mathematical term. Access. Containment class, challenge. Disruption class, influence. Risk class, volatility. Security measures. SCP Integer must only be semantically identified using correct identifiers, including name, being, entity, and others. However, SCP Integer is the suggested identifier due to others being either redundant or only conditionally correct. Knowledge of SCP Integer and its properties should be restricted to only the necessary personnel for containment, including Dr. Placeholder and one member of the Department of Miscommunications, enforceable via amnesticization. However, extensions for research purposes may be permitted by Director Forkley on a case-by-case basis. Note that this file has been strictly organized such that non-abstract information concerning SCP Integer and or SCP Integer digit instances is not directly communicated via identifiers. For the sake of clarity, correct identifiers for SCP Integer and SCP Integer digit have been made distinct via blue and green coloration, which we won't be pointing out, just the SCP Integer digits are all green, SCP Integer is all blue. Looks like it's confusing.
I'm going cockeyed. You just can't see it.
Updates to this file, in green, if any, are encouraged to remain consistent with these principles. SCP Integer digit instances that do not possess sapience are to be contained at Site 15. Access to such instances for research of semi-ontological anomalies, aka semiohazards, may be permitted to personnel possessing level 4 clearance or higher, with regards to scientist instances. SCP integer digit. Instances possessing sapience need not be contained unless, as a result of their properties or otherwise, they inhibit the containment of SCP integer.
As a quick meta level, thank you, placeholder MCD, for the content as the author.
Yes, thank you very much for this content, which we are enjoying currently.
My brain is melting. I heard integer and digit, and I'm thinking numbers.
And then on the right, we have a written in green the word file, written in blue the word SCP integer, and written in blue is a self-abstracting semioplex, and then 2 words written in bolded red. That's all. And then just a picture of 2 circles, one smaller inside the other.
Huh.
There you go.
As a quick poll, hey Jesse, do you have any idea what's going on? Because I don't.
No, not a clue. I'm even lost
Okay.
reading ahead. I'm lost.
Why don't you go and read the description, or excuse me, explanation, then, good sir Jesse.
You want me to figure? All right, I don't know what I'm reading here.
Power core can do it.
Explanation: SCP integer is a hazard to the third complex.
No, that is a footnote. So it's a footnote. A semi-ontological anomaly. Semiohazard is a disruption of the semiosphere. So it's just the thing we read before.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
That simplifies incorrect designations and classifications of itself and instances of SCP integer digit.
Actually,
In the event that
So that's actually a good clarification to note. This is defining hazard with the footnote as a semi-ontological anomaly or a semiohazard. But in this writing, for some reason, it's just generalized to a hazard complex.
Indeed. I'm going to not like I pretend like anything you just said was coherent to me.
It will make sense eventually, maybe. If not, I can explain it.
In the event that SCP integer is incorrectly designated or classified through any form of semantic communication, said identifier becomes abstracted by one
Cool.
Cool?
Footnote 4 on abstracted is abstraction, generalization of a concept. And a cule is defined as a unit of measurement denoting one level of abstraction away from the reality of a situation.
Okay.
We're abstracting, baby.
Yeah, the new abstracted identifier is retroactively incorporated into the construct as correct. Additionally, its respective medium of communication will become an instance of SCP integer digit.
Which has a footnote, which is just the word lesson in all caps, written in bolded red.
Okay.
Thank you for the lesson.
The consequences of SCP's integer effects are as follows. SCP integer has always been, and will always be identified using names that it is retroactively caused to be factually correct, and the use of any other identifiers considered incorrect. This is also true of SCP integer digit instances. Incorrect identification of SCP integer from baseline perspective has never occurred due to the retroactive creation of objective fact. However, the state of this file indicates that it has been published with incorrect designations multiple times and subsequently became the instance of SCP integer digit.
How's your brain? What do you got going on in your head so far?
I still don't understand this at all. I mean, I get it. I get what it's saying. I get that it's like I get it, but I don't understand what it is. You know what I mean? Like I get what the thing does, but I don't get what it is.
It's retroactively rewriting reality, but I can't grasp its own nature, probably because it keeps rewriting reality, so it's very difficult to actually identify or catalog, because you're only reading what it has already refiltered.
It is anything that you identify it as, it already is and always has been a thing.
What?
In definition.
Be careful. I don't want to point out the paradox here, but it is a paradox.
That's the point. It doesn't make sense. But
Some
just
things were not
accept
meant to
it.
be
It's
classified.
reality. That's reality. The fun thing to keep in mind is that it abstracts things 1 degree more general whenever that thing is referred to.
but it will then write that into fact. So if you were to give an analogy of, man, like my stomach's filling with butterflies, it might actually fill your stomach with butterflies, because it very literally interprets that. I'm not exactly sure what the limits on its rewriting is.
It is specifically, this is for power core's sake, mostly. It does not mess with anything unless that thing is used to refer to itself specifically, or a SCP-A, which is what integer digit means. It's referring to the concept of a -A or a -1 or a -2, like a sub version.
So it just rewrites its own reference. So don't call it, wow, it's basically just a ball, because it will probably rewrite itself to be just a ball.
At which point it will first and generalize that one tier up, so from a ball to sphere or circle. And then that becomes a reality of that, and ball is now that generalization whenever you use it to refer to it as that.
Wow, so it encourages itself to infinitely keep activating, since it only works off of the abstraction of what you just said. It's not literally what you just said. It becomes approximate to it, leaving room for misinterpretation so it can rewrite itself again.
And then that ball, that concept of ball, when referring to it, is now SCP integer -digit.
I'm starting to comprehend it, but the left half of my brain has died. Some things were not worth it.
You're welcome. I'm just seeing Jesse's face being like, reading and braining. All right.
Yeah.
You want to continue, Jesse? Or you want popcorn so you can think?
I mean,
what? Popcorn, power core.
Okay.
Sure.
Let your brain rest.
Okay.
I nod and agree. Due to its tendency to make useful labels and categorizations redundant, SCP integer poses significant nomenclative difficulties to Site 15 documentation and personnel. I knew that word, never seen it written. Due to its semantic nature, SCP integer shares similarities with memetic hazards, and a single incorrect designation could lead to the rapid propagation of SCP integer digit throughout Site 15 and its documents, crashing file systems and potentially causing several other containment breaches by preventing effective communication. Okay, so we are right. It does viciously rewrite itself if you misclassify. Jesus, do not ask this thing how it's feeling today. It will probably crash all of your systems. Other known correct identifiers for SCP integer include, hey, that's not correct, thing, construct when referring to semantics, challenge when referring to containment, influence when referring to potential disruption, volatility when referring to immediate risk, hazard complex when referring to semi-ontological phenomena, restricted per protocol 5000 ESHU, with a footnote saying forbidden when referring to narrative and/or pataphysical. All of that in all caps and in red. When referring to its narrative or. Okay, thank you.
The colors are very important.
When referring to its narrative or pataphysical elements, real quick, we're going to take a break to Google what the fuck pataphysical means. A philosophy of science invented by French writer Alfred Jarry in 1873 to 1907, intended to be a parody of science, difficult to define or be pinned down, as described as science of imaginary solutions. Thank you, Alfred Jarry.
In the use of SCP universe, it is the study of narrative hazards. So the idea that everything is a story and the narrative of that story can be changed.
It's the power of retcon.
It literally originally came into being in the original kind of meme SCP article, which talks about the SCP universe finding out that they are all actually just their entire universe is written by horror writers on the internet in an upper level. Amazing. In an upper level pata realm. So
I guess I enjoy when it says narrative and/or because those two are related.
Yeah.
It also correct classification when referring to integer is issue when referring to its difficulty. Footnote 8. See additional integer letter all caps green.
I heard that sigh, the pain of things.
I'm taking psychic damage as I read this.
Yeah. I get it now. I've always been like, I don't understand how psychic damage works, but I get it now.
Exactly. Now you know. This was the lesson here all along, so we know what that feels
now
like.
Now you know what mental pain is. SCP integer digit is the designation for things, including both items and beings, that have served as a medium of communication for an incorrect designation or classification of SCP integer. Upon becoming an instance of SCP integer digit, its identifiers are similarly abstracted by SCP integer. Incorrect identifications of SCP integer digit instances will be abstracted, but their relative media of communication do not become further instances. The following is a list of known instances of SCP integer digit. Just to make sure I read that correctly, things that reference SCP integer incorrectly are digit, and incorrect references of digit will also be abstracted, but anything after that, it's only 2 steps removed in terms of how much it modifies.
Yeah. So, basically, if a person references the SCP integer wrong, or an object is used as the medium for comparison, like you said with ball earlier, that object then becomes the integer. And so the
integer
person or the object can become the integer digit. Which then, if you try and reference that, generalizes itself, but you don't then become an integer digit, or the object used to reference that thing doesn't become an integer digit. So.
This thing is the Feywild, but manifest, and I hate it. It needs to go back to where it came from.
Alright. You want to take over for a minute, Power Core? Your brain alright?
Yeah, I'm still chuggling, you know. If you see, like, my entire digital world fall apart around me, then that's your indication that we've gone too far. A bridge too deep. Correct identifiers and non-identifying explanations. A correct identifier of file, access when referring to protocol, security measure when referring to protocol, explanation when referring to deceptiveness, restriction when referring to reduced access, erased when referring to expungement, addition when referring to new content, or inquiry when referring to knowledge gathering. These are all correct identifiers. A non-identifying explanation for these are contains electronic information concerning SCP integer.
Yep.
Page and sheet are correct due to them containing physical information concerning SCP integer and is composed of cellulose pulp. Instrument, with a tag of it is unknown whether the identifier is considered an abstraction of the conventional identifier for instrument, or if it was semantically conflated with its homonym, the woodwind instrument. Those are words. Those are words I didn't understand. It's a non-identifying explanation. Contains auditory information concerning SCP integer used for inquiry. Please do not Stack Overflow by trying to reference the stacks that this can apply. Display is a correct identifier due to the explanation shows electronic information and is connected to a computer. Scientist or researcher, inquisitor, when referring to gathering of knowledge with footnote, see additional integer letter in bright capital green. With the non-identifying explanation, at the time of writing, 3 of these instances exist, either currently or previously employed at Site 15. Those poor 3 fuckers got their concepts yoinked. Sounds like.
Yep. They referenced it wrong, and thus they themselves were generalized as instead of researcher.
Their name. They
researcher, are or researcher something, or scientist something general.
The interesting part here is this last identifier is not green. Dr. Placeholder, McDoctorate, PhD, Dr. PhD, MC PhD, PhD dot, or any combination of at least 2 components of the above names ordered left to right. The explanation, Site Director 15. Note, instance is unique in that the only proper noun or title designations are corrected. Dr. Placeholder is legally unable to change his name and change this, and is an objective fact. This is his name.
Title in all red, all caps, one word, punishment.
I want to meet MC PhD. He sounds like a cool dude. All right. I want him to spit me some highly academic bars. Do not lose yourself to this conceptual. No, that's bad. No, I miscategorized it, and that would have been very bad.
No, you didn't miscategorize it. It's always been that way.
The Foundation became
Game
aware of
character.
SCP integer.
Game character, energy state.
Fuck you, VTuber is the tag you should be using if you're gonna not directly refer to me.
But your name's game character. It's fine.
Hey, Force, you just miscategorized me, human.
Well, no, because you're an integer.
Damn it! It's only 2 tags. I can't even use it against you by the article's own. I hate this. I hate this. This is just a bit terrible. Why would you pick this?
I didn't think this. What are you talking about? Come on, just.
This is madness. The more I read of this, the more I'm just like, what am I reading?
Exactly.
This is words, indeed. The Foundation became aware of SCP integer on March 5th? March the 5th month? Okay. 2000
It's not,
redacted.
but I'll say
Oh,
this.
well, rip. Why would you not then? It's May. May is the 5th.
I was just thinking of like, yeah, this is when those, yeah.
May 5th, 2000 redacted, when erased with the footnote, a red mortal spoke its red true name.
Oof.
Jesus, he got categorized as erased, resulting in Dr. Placeholder becoming the first known instance of SCP integer digit for Dr. Placeholder. After publishing the first draft of File, he attempted to discuss it with a scientist and discovered SCP integer's pseudo-mimetic properties. Dr. Placeholder proceeded to use File to derive the mechanics of SCP integer's effect before becoming more informed, before developing more informed security measures, which every intense word was in green because it has been modified. They are now digits.
So now we
Additional
have,
integer letter,
yeah,
inquiry log.
Now we have some back and forth dialogue for people. Power, you've been reading. So, Jesse, do you have a preference?
No. I don't think it's going to help me either way. So
I'll let you be the black name, the interview
Dr. PhD,
Dr. Placeholder,
the Dr. PhD,
the Dr. PhD. It feels
All
appropriate.
All
I'll
right.
be the Inquisitor Scientist letter.
Great.
So forward, attempted interview. Actually, power forward.
Ah, yes. Forward. Attempted interview with Dr. Placeholder to discern the nature of SCP integer. Terminated due to scientist-letters' lack of understanding concerning SCP integer security measures. Note that the file used in this inquiry did not yet contain an explanation demonstrating accuracy. Begin log, and on that, I will go pee.
Dr. Placeholder, this inquiry is being conducted exactly 15 minutes after you updated security measures for SCP integer. I'd like to know exactly what the hell anything in that file means.
This inquiry is going to look just as useless on File. I already tried to tell scientists you can't, unprofessionalism erased, talk about it specifically.
And why is that, might I ask?
What part of can't talk about it don't you understand? You have the page in front of you, right?
I'm the Inquisitor asking the questions here.
Erased, fine. You see that list of terms? We can only talk about SCP integer using those terms.
The Inquisitor examines the file. Yes. Okay. So, how did you become aware of the hazard?
All I can tell you is that I found a painful groan is heard. I said something that I shouldn't have. That should never be said, ever. So is he groaning? Is the man
Yes.
groaning?
He is growing.
Gotcha.
Dr. PhD is growing. MC PhD.
Great.
MC PhD.
Yep.
God, I love him.
Unhelpful, but duly noted. Could you attempt to somehow convey what SCP integer does with a little more clarity? Try your best.
If you use any other word than what's on that list, it'll take some general category that the word is in and add the word for that category to the list.
Go on.
And it'll do the same to you and give you your own personal list. So I suggest you stick to the security measures.
I'm not sure I understand. So what does this thing attaches a list to?
Be erased careful. Haven't you had a briefing on semiohazards? It's not just a list of words, it's a list of facts. There's no way around them, and there's no way of undoing them. Your lucky thing is on the list, or we'll be stuck calling you researcher for the rest of the time, and from the beginning of time.
Well, this is quite the issue, isn't it? And in red, in a footnote, red, bolded, all caps, mistake.
He fucked up. He done fucked up.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay.
A strong
Wait.
breeze moves through the room.
Wait, the blank list, erased list. I didn't write that.
Wait, what? But issue is a correct identifier for SCP integer.
A pause is followed by an exasperated sigh. I really tried, Inquisitor.
Wait. Something doesn't feel right. Why am I Inquisitor?
Whatever you actually just said wasn't the correct identifier until you misidentified it. I have to call you Scientist Letter for years now. I finally know why. Oh, I've had to call you Scientist Letter for years now. I finally know why.
Wait, that shouldn't be my name. What the erased is going on? And log.
Wait, did the word fuck get erased?
Yes.
I think I just context clued erased is the F word. Now I want to go back and try to plug in like the F word for erase to see how many fucks did I miss.
I don't think it's just fuck. I think it's generally any sort
Any
of
expletive.
like, expletive, yeah. Or actually, it would be redacted. They redacted or otherwise expunged whatever was there, and that got generalized to erased. Would make the most sense to me.
Maybe, yeah, the term
redacted or
redacted is what got modified to erased.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess its redacts are now erased. Huh.
Sometimes they redact swear words, I guess.
Yeah. So, yeah, and it makes sense because erased also refers to the doctor's name, which would have naturally been redacted.
Closing statement. Power 4.
Oh, yeah, yes, that's right. Evidence would suggest that Scientist Letter's status as SCP integer digit instance was retroactively caused by negligence of security measures during the above inquiry. Scientist Letter's subsequent amenitization request granted, despite minimal predictive effectiveness. Notice, a semiohazardous error has occurred while viewing this file. Following the parable may not correspond to objective reality. And there's actually like a deep red little redacted thing at the bottom.
Yep. With I guess a poem in here?
It says it's called lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, just listen. If 2 1s make 2, and 2 2s make 4, what to do when 2 2s won't make 4 anymore? When values in base 10 return sums in base 8, that 2 4s make 10 is the sum of all hate. This is a very aggressive Dr. Seuss poem. If A equals B, and C is not A, to hear that B's C leaves one wrought with dismay. When the enemy
Not
of
one
an
person,
enemy
something.
is the enemy of one's friend, and hope of any clarity yields chaos in the end, such is a punishment for those who would wander too far from the path of the forest with no name, and seek knowledge that is best left unknown. For your crimes of naming that which ought not be named, you must accept that reality doesn't always make sense. And in black, at the very bottom, it fades in to say, logician.
And there's a picture of a Rubik's Cube.
Fuck you, Rubik's Cube. The object was a Rubik's Cube the whole time.
Just shoveling shit around. So this is the logician. Whatever he is, whatever he actually is generalized to logician. There you go. How's that for what the fuck did I just read, Brain Milk?
I feel like I'm less of a person now that I've been taking this
what is
information.
the red text? You said the green was related to Faye stuff. What is the red text?
The red text, so the green is, the coloring of text is the thing used by SCP-4000, which if you haven't read it, you should. It's fantastic. It is the concept of things that can't be named properly. In SCP-4000, it's you have to always use a different description to identify a thing. So they use different colors in the text to link those descriptions. In this case, the green is used in other text, like it is here, to reference that article in SCP-4000. As we already know, the green is also used in this to reference integer digit. The blue is for the integer, and as you just asked, the red is presumably based on this input from the logician themselves. So as the logician has rewritten parts of this file or added things to this file so that we can see this. So all the footnotes being in red, or most of the footnotes being in red, are the logician putting his thoughts into that. That's how we know where the mistake happened.
And explicitly, they're all like things that go against the logician's will, or go against the logician's will. Him directly reinforcing something not to do, or something bad happens. They all seem to link that concept together. Like that's all being a warning, punishment unknown, that ought which not be named. And every time it references the mortal, which was Dr. MC PhD, who dared to actually try to catalog it, and thus lost. Has to now be the most generalized version of himself. Because I think he lost his name twice, and that is why he is now just the technically improper now.
His name got changed to placeholder, and then his referential data got changed from researcher to doctor or PhD.
Sure. I want to, I know this isn't what you were trying to do, but I feel like I cracked a murder mystery. So the red text, for some reason, I was like, oh, well, maybe the red text, because it's so creepy, like specifically the red text is very creepy. I was like, maybe because the green is related to the Fate world that you were talking about, that perhaps the red is related to SCP famed Scarlet King, which is also just Stephen King stuff, but it's related to that story. And I was like, oh, it may be. So I did a quick bit of research, and can I tell you what I found that is just, I don't know how we got here, but it's so perfect.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Let's continue.
So what ended up happening is I went down the rabbit hole of so this Scarlet King thing, I wonder what this is related to with stories. And one of the ones is one of the ones that you mentioned, which I believe was the SCP-5832, I think, which was the weird, the one that you were it's dark. If you're gonna read it, that one, right?
Oh yeah.
And so I was like, okay. So I went through it a little bit, and in that, I was like, all right. So I guess I get what that's trying to tell, what story it's trying to tell. But I wonder if there's something deeper going on here. And apparently, that one is connected to another SCP, which is SCP-231, I believe, and more importantly, SCP-2317. So, essentially, because in the one that you showed, SCP... Boy, my brain just died. SCP-5832, it says that it's a little girl. There's red crayon drawn over a male figure. There's 7 candles. There are all these clues in it that is related to something else. And so people are saying, oh, it's related to this other SCP-231, which are 7 girls who were kidnapped by this cult, and they were forced to give birth to children of the Scarlet King. And how SCP-231, 1 through 6, all died. Some of them did give birth to terrible redacted things that killed plenty of people, but number 7 did not give birth. And the whole point of number 7 is that she is being held underground by this facility, being forced to like preventing her from giving birth. And then, this is insane. I can't believe this is how we got here. Then it says in a compilation of all these like SCPs that at a certain point they discovered another SCP thing that said that it gave you the legend of the Scarlet King, and it said the seventh daughter would bear the child that would defeat the Scarlet King. And so they said, "Oh, well, let this girl give birth." And you want to know what she gave birth to? SCP 999, the happy slime that makes people happy. I couldn't have planned this better if we. I can't believe that.
So this is what we were talking about with Jackrabbit. Is like one of the most amazing things to me is when dealing with SCP is like that is one whole set of theories. Like that is a logic that people have come together, that people have created a canon in and of their own based on all the details that they found. But then there are whole other theories and stuff that can also be true based on the information presented. And in SCP world, in the way the SCP is written and the way they present themselves, whichever canon you prefer, that's the real canon. The canon is as fluid as you want it to be. It can be whatever you want it to be. So for some people, SCP-231 will always be when that seventh one is born, the world is destroyed, and it never happens. But then you have this other one which says, here are all these things, and it's actually SCP-999, which is going to somehow defeat the Scarlet King. Just as there are some people who like SCP-5832 is the story of like one of the daughters of the Scarlet King or blah blah blah, and others are like it was just a girl who was so emotionally traumatized that her emotions forced anomalous effects onto the environment.
Sure, it's very like it's something they use a lot of time in the game Control.
Yes. Oh god, I love that game so much.
Yeah, it's great, but I just can't believe that like even if you go to the SCP wiki, which I don't think is like an official source, but it definitely is one of those things where they've compiled stuff, and on here, yeah, it literally says that like SCP-999, the tickle monster. Here's the thing, I love that. I love that to defeat the ultimate evil is just a orange tickle monster. That shit is hilarious to me.
It is. Some people get so bad too, which also makes it kind of funny.
Yep. It's so good, especially considering that the Scarlet King's whole concept is like hatred. Isn't it? It's like hatred and anger.
Yeah.
Pride.
He's just a terrible dude.
So,
yeah.
But in this case, it's the happy-go-lucky, like little lovable guy who just wants to help.
Born to be the antithesis.
I think it's so good. And it could. It even has like all of its different abilities listed, which makes it's so funny because this wiki makes it seem like it's a superhero.
It is. Look at that boy. He beat 682, sort of.
And the best part,
it just helps.
The best part is he even has his like spinach, like his Popeye spinach, because it says increases speed from consumption of caffeine. So like you give him caffeine, this dude is a superhero.
Yeah, we get to.
He's moving at lightning speeds. The thing that helps us.
Yeah, this is so good. Yeah, this is very silly. I can't believe that led me from looking at red text. That's where I got.
There you go. That's the rabbit hole of the SCP universe, everybody.
Unreal.
Rabbit hole.
I've been hurt yet healed at the same time. That all the threads fired at once. It was too much for my mortal mind. This is the forbidden knowledge you see like every H.P. Lovecraftian cultist holding. It's just the SCP wiki inside that book. Them reading it has now given them these unholy powers.
I'll make that into an NPC now. It's just a guy who holds like a book of
you see, I have figured out how the stories connect. 999 is the true savior of all of us.
It's a warlock who's like believes that their patron is some sort of like god of like divine like perspective or something like that, and he's just got the red fucking board. He's just like, let me explain it to you. But this is actually a god of insanity or something like that.
7 candles, the red text, 7 girls.
I love it.
All actually make coherent. Hey Jesse, quick question. Have you ever watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
I mean, I know of it. Yes.
Okay. just because that's a fair answer for the integer. After my brain healed from a bit and put itself back together, I realized, as a meme, one of the villains, their power is very similar to integers, but the joke was no one knew what the fuck his power set was. Not only was it inconsistent, since it rewrote reality retroactively, no one could actually explain what the fuck it did. It's King Crimson's power set, because it takes a set bit of time, but retroactively rewrites what happened as what always happens. Amazing. So it is very difficult to describe in images, and the anime did a little bit of a better job, but still no one knew what the fuck it did.
I like going into JoJo's for a second, because we rag on this all the time, or I rag on this all the time in Power.
I was about to correct you, but you did it yourself.
I have problems with JoJo's. Just due to
I do too, but I still love it. That's why.
But do we want to do one more really short one? Because okay,
it's not that short. It's not another Semiohazard, is it?
No, this one's very simple. It's very simple.
Actually, you know what? Can I do the last short one? All right, I got some. It's not that short. My SCP was a speed bump. It was an anomalous speed bump.
Sure, go ahead. As long
it's not that short.
Because we're like at 2 hours.
Yeah, we've mined you for content, Jesse. If you'd like to be free of our madness, you may.
I gotta hear what it is.
How about we both PowerCore? We're gonna both give a like 1-sentence descriptor of the SCP that we have.
Okay.
Jesse picks based on that like 1 sentence.
Okay, hit me.
I'll go first. Mine's an anomalous speed bump because when people hit it, it changes the rate of which they move past it in ways that just confound these scientists, and it really upsets them because they can't find a pattern for how it's going to change. Sometimes it speeds up, sometimes it slows down.
It's more than 1 sentence, but
that speed up and slow down was a period.
Mostly because I think mine is great. You can formally refer to mine as the fish that just goes on forever, our merciful and long lord, or its glorious infinitude, hail its everlasting fish body.
What?
I agree. I second that with a the fuck?
I mean, you here's the thing. I don't know that I want to know about the second one, but I feel like we have to know. You can't just tell us whatever the hell that was and then be like, I guess you have a choice. Do we have a choice?
I said a one-word descriptor. I gave you.
You retroactively removed our choice.
I don't think we have a choice. The hell is this thing?
This is SCP-532, written by Radagon. Thank you very much. 5320.
Thank you for the content, Radagar. I'm full on content, but I appreciate the more. Seconds, please.
Object class, Keter. Special containment procedures. Underwater drones 5320A to D are to monitor the respective locations along SCP-5320's body. Video feeds are to be checked once every 24 hours for any change in SCP-5320's shape or location. SCP-5320's current locations are mapped and may be accessed with permission from Dr. Kuehl. SCP-5320 can be formally referred to as the fish that just goes on forever, our merciful and long lord, or its glorious infinitude, hail its everlasting fish body. Chances of locating the head or tail of SCP-5320 may be increased by offering sacrifices in the form of vending machine snacks placed on top of the break room microwave. Removal of present offerings is strictly forbidden. Footnote that says, offerings must be left on the microwave in order to preserve the site's current internet speed. Internet may slow if offerings are removed, as proved by one test conducted by researcher Avery.
What?
Look, you've already fucked my brain, and now you're just throwing an infinitely long landline fishman, okay? This is just funnier than it has any right to be, because I'm already so befuddled.
Exactly.
I want my good internet.
What do you want to take over for the description?
Flip a coin. I'm heads, I'm flipping a coin. Coin flip.
No, you actually. I don't know if I trust a video game character to flip a coin on the internet. I feel like
I'm heads, so I get to suffer more.
Great.
Oh my god, I have so many tabs open. It's hard for me to keep up with. We're on 5832?
5320.
5320. I am closing all of these SCP tabs to save my own sanity. There we go. Description. SCP-5320 must closely resemble, let me
Leparidae.
Google that pronunciation. For Leparidae, with a footnote, snailfish. Resembles a snailfish, but without a visible head or tail. Although width and height measure in normal ranges for its species, SCP-5320's body extends as long as Foundation water drones have been able to follow it, concluding that the creature is either extremely long or limitless entirely. Efforts to locate the head or tail of SCP-5320 are ongoing. The creature was discovered during a routine bi-yearly sweep of the ocean floor. The drone responsible for the discovery examined the creature for approximately 50 hours and 38 kilometers before steps to anomalous classification proceeded. Underwater drones have been following the length of SCP-5320's continuously for 3 years since making the estimate for SCP-5320's length between 37,000 and 39,000 kilometers long and perpetually increasing. They went for a bit, they're like, damn, this bitch long, it better be anomalous. They kept going, it's like, yep, yeah, it's anomalous. Additionally, side effects of viewing SCP-5320 include a heightened awareness of the passage of time, increased interest in the ceiling tile number, and increased use of the phrase long boy in casual conversation. Shit, did I say long boy earlier? Because
I did intentionally because I was intending to bring this one up, but...
Oh no. Even when referring to things that are neither long nor boy, personnel monitoring SCP-5320 have reported feeling an unusual amount of excitement upon seeing one of SCP-5320's occasionally visible fins, as well as a compulsion to loudly cheer.
It's literally just a really long fish that people have to watch cameras go down its body for hours on end and occasionally actually see something interesting.
Long boy. I'm sorry, I sent it to a different plane for a second. Addendum 5320-1. The People's Church of the Fish that just goes on forever. Oh no! I'm sorry. I need to try that sentence again. The People's Church of the Fish that just goes on forever. Has received a new addition to the shrine in the form of two fish-shaped novelty erasers gifted to the church by one Kenny Rosenfield, age 8, progeny of researcher Margaret Rosenfeld. Logged security recording in the surveillance office. Who would like to be Barlow and Avery?
I'll be Barlow.
Okay, I'll be Avery.
Hey!
Begin log.
Hey, praise the fish.
May we locate the head?
Dr. Barlow laughs.
Right, or the tail.
Did Ratcliffe tell you that it passed over a vent?
No, is it okay?
Oh yeah, totally fine. Thank God.
Thank the fish.
Thank our merciful Lord the fish.
May its body be never-ending and impervious to anything we poke it with.
May it bring us a bountiful harvest.
Yeah, may it bring us good snacks for once.
I'm going to sacrifice my firstborn child to the fish so we can get RC Cola again.
Dr. Barlow laughs. And slog. Can I take a moment for the phrase praise the fish? My God. It's so funny because my brain has literally been removed. Praise the fish.
You get to participate in this next one because we've got Barlow and Avery returning, and we've got Kuehl.
I get to be Kuehl. I love the name Kuehl.
Yeah,
log
cool.
taken from Biley Research staff meeting. Begin log. Kuehl, what are our updates looking like this week?
We're not been cleared for physically invasive testing. I've been advised that we keep watching it until we have more reliable means of tracking.
I was afraid of that. Alright, I want status reports. New activity, new developments. What have we seen? Several seconds of silence. Avery?
A few days ago, drone 5320C logged another dorsal fin.
Brief pause. Subdued laughter. Congrats on seeing a fin! Researcher Avery. Anybody else? Several seconds of silence. Okay, then we can get right down to business. Hail the fish.
Hail the fish!
Hail the fish!
Hail the fish. Now, question those who... Holy shit,
Wow,
my
you
reading
are
comprehension.
struggling with that.
Now, The question whose answer we have all been seeking for research purposes. Paper rustles. Could the fish use its glorious and infinite body to tie up the legs of the Christian God like an AT-AT? The Christian church God is not real. Is not an acceptable answer this time, Dr. Maxwell.
It sounds like these guys are just bored as fuck and made this joke and just keep taking it further and further.
Look,
Yeah, they got nothing else to do.
When you're this bored, you learn to praise the fish, alright? This thing's fucking infinitely long if I'm going to read.
I love that these guys are stuck down here and this is their job and they're like making a goof out of it. I think that's very funny.
That's good. It's what you would do too, having worked in some like very boring places. Sometimes you just kind of like make fun out of it. You have to.
Force, have you ever created a religion around your job? Praise the dishes.
No, not yet.
Oh.
I might try.
Hey, you get tax exemption
Go
that
into the
way.
church of clean dishery and cutlery, and may all your dishes be ever gleaming.
You know, if I made a techno religion, I'm a programmer by trade. I guess that does work. Can I make my business a religious organization? No fucking taxes? Sounds like the play.
Your worship ceremony is once weekly. They must play 4 hours of video games produced by the Great Church of the Everlasting Power Core.
Exactly. We had streamed. It's a charity event. Please give me your tithes. Twitch, you're not allowed to take any. These are religious donations.
These are religious donations. I need these to spread the good word in the church.
I need these, please. Log taken from annual staff holiday party. Begin log.
Scientology is.
You figured it out. Researcher Avery yells over the noise of the party. Shut up! If I could call this meeting... Oh, wait, you're Avery. I'm sorry.
Avery.
Who the fuck am I anymore? I had ego death.
You're cool. Shut up.
True.
I could call this meeting to... Ratcliffe, shut up!
She continues as the noise dies down. Rabble.
On behalf of all staff on assignment 5320, I thank you all for being here and welcome you to the Marine Research Installation 14 First Annual Fishmas Party.
Oh my god, Fishmas. Yeah.
Where we gather to express our gratitude and service to our perpetually prolonged providence, the fish that just goes on forever. All staff are advised to partake in alcoholic beverages and leave non-perishable snacks on top of the microwave to contribute to our research efforts in finding the end of SCP-5320 for the good of the Foundation and humanity itself. In the temporary absence of Dr. Cool, I declare the next person to see a fin, blessed of the fish, may their harvest be bountiful and their anomalies never breach.
May we locate the head!
Or the tail!
Amen. Let's get drunk at work. Unread message. Two from Mina, from Emily. So the second one is by Cool. The first one is Emily Mina. You want to be Emily, Jesse? Read her.
Dr. Cool, I've noticed some strange occurrences happening among your staff recently. I'd like to check in with you this week to review the situation. You can pull your staff's psychological records. I would be appreciative. Please let me know your availability when you can, Dr. Emily Mina.
Subject re on-site behavior. Things are a little slow on our end, but everything is going smoothly from my understanding. I have a meeting with Dr. Stavens on Wednesday at noon, but I'm otherwise free. Thank you for your concern. I hope to have your worries cleared up as soon as possible. Dr. Luke Cool, High Priest of the People's Church of the Fish that just goes on forever.
Okay. Yeah, that's concerning. That would be concerning.
I'm sorry. Cool's a female? Dr. Priest,
Yes.
High Priestess.
High Priestess.
Loop Cool. Cool Loop.
Cool Loop. All right.
And then we have interview.
So Dr. Elizabeth Cool is back at research, and an interviewer, Agent Rachel Summers.
You want to be Summers first?
Amounts of unexplained behavior surrounding SCP-5320. Sure.
Good morning, Agent Summers. It's my understanding that you have some questions for me?
Yes, we've received some evidence pertaining to SCP-5320 that we think may constitute an info-hazardous effect. We can shed some light on the situation.
Info hazardous? That comes as a surprise to me. I haven't heard anything about that kind of excitement happening on our neck of the sea.
Our hope is that we won't find any excitement at all. Excitement usually translates to more work for everybody.
You'd be surprised how willing I would be to take a little more work sometimes.
Wouldn't we all? Shall we?
Absolutely.
Dr. Cool, how long have you been working on this assignment?
2, 3 years?
Have you noticed any considerable behavioral changes?
Had a brief stint with depression last year, but our psych staff has done good work helping all of us work through our issues.
So, nothing that you've observed in yourself
Nothing beyond the expected, no.
and your staff?
Nothing out of the ordinary. But, idle hands and all that.
Uh-huh. And how long have you been a part of the People's Church of the Fish that just goes on forever?
How long have we... Dr. Cool pauses for several seconds. Are you talking about my email signature?
After following up with Dr. Cool, the rest of the staff assigned to SCP-5320, I have come to the conclusion that the tip concerning SCP-5320 having info-hazardous abilities was a false alarm. I will finish due diligence to officially close this investigation upon arrival back at Site-211. The effects of SCP-5320's suspected additional ability turned out to be nothing more than a very elaborate running joke among the staff. Dr. Cool has promised to tone it down and keep any further tomfoolery out of the Foundation database. Today marks the 4th consecutive false alarm I have had in the past several months. There's a part of me hoping this one would turn out to be real, but alas, I return to my desk. It appears not even Foundation staff are immune to the human drive to make up dumb superstitions with their board. Semi-related note, Peter's better not have moved my wizard figure off his spot again. God knows I don't need 69 more years of bad luck.
How dare you touch Rachel's minis, okay?
Yeah, you don't do that. Those are valuable.
Glad we're all on a
That's
great
collectible.
Don't mess with other people's minis.
Exactly. All right, like she probably paid fucking $35 for that one mini, knowing current prices.
Well, current Warhammer price. Current.
Exactly. It's an Archmagos. That's what you meant by wizard.
She was smart, which she is a researcher. She would have just gotten it from someone else and been fine.
It's a kit bash. Still equally personally valuable, even though not as monetarily. You want to know a really, since we're just completely off track, you want to know a really funny but depressing fact?
Sure.
I was doing miniature research with my friend, and for like shits and giggles, one of them told me about like the average wage of, because he was doing historical research. He told me about the average wage of like a South American worker, and it was, I think, 35,000, I want to say lire, but that's probably the Italian currency. It's 35,000 of their currency. A Warhammer Rogue Titan figure is, I think, 160 pounds, which is almost 200 USD. That's more than one of them make in a year. One Warhammer Rogue Titan.
You could pay them in Titans, they'd make more money.
You could pay them in Titans, and it would be more than what they get paid on average. There was something about that was just so funny, but so fun.
Oh, that's so painful.
I literally worship the Warhammer Titan. I would die if it weren't for these Warhammer Rogue Titans. These are our currency. Do you have the limited edition version? It's a kit bash. It's a counterfeit.
I wonder how long it is until a country is literally like currency is like figurines or something like that. Just going back to like barter and trade system.
If you dropped like a shipment there, you would probably actually crash their economy.
One guy buys one after years of working. It's like, all right, it's just the entire economy collapses because it exists.
No, he buys one and it was a fucking counterfeit. It was just a kit bash made from cheaper parts. No. God, now I actually want a dystopia where you buy and sell. Your currency is miniature figurines, alright? There's like an AI overlord that really highly values miniatures.
Look, a game idea. Figurines as currency.
Right there. When you build them, they increase or decrease in value depending on the build quality. I invested my life savings into building my army contingent, but I fucked up the paint job. It's all worthless.
Oh my god, you do barter by like having mini war game battles, and then whatever you kill the opponent's team during like a certain number of rounds is like how much
you get to say. The briefcase full of money is just several box sets of pre-made figurines. I got the latest batch right here. The fucking bank is just a hobby shop.
And we're basically just recreating Yu-Gi-Oh at this point, but with figurines.
We kind of are. We still have guns, drugs. All of this is only poultry compared to the money in
You have something to
figurines.
say, Jesse?
Nope, not me.
See you over there shaking your head.
The metal ones are more valuable than the plastic ones too, alright? People literally live and die in the figurine mine. Are figurines even made in this world? You just dig them up from the mines.
Well,
they
see,
literally
what
just
it really
gems.
is the mine is literally beneath like a factory plant. And it's all the reject pieces from the high-end people. And they just dump. And it's not actually like a mine. It's just like a bunch of like decomposed figurines that have formed into like a hill or like cliffs surrounding it that people dig into and like scrounge at the good ones that are still working.
It's miniature mountain. You could go to scale it to find the few good pieces that were thrown away. You'd be rich, but you have to fight off the other scavengers who live there.
You make a scavenger troop. You and your family, and you guys gather together and just like...
You start building scrap weapons out of fake miniature pieces. If you strap enough las guns together, you made an actual las gun.
Or these orcs now? If they imagine it works, it just works.
I'm really pressing it. But I love the idea. So with scrap Space Marine power armor, there's a bunch of different miniature Space Marine pieces. He actually crafted the semi-functioning power armor.
He'd be that one crazy guy who everybody looks at him and is like, you can't, you're useless. Why are you alive? How are you still alive?
I fight for the Emperor. He protects me.
Somebody tries to rob him and that happens. This comes
He
out.
actually shoots them with a fucking bolter. That works. Okay, if we want to fully wrap this into a potential sci-fi dystopian world, it's an AI. You have sent out your tier 3 civilization, all right? You send out robots to just strip planets, and you sent one to a populated planet. It has stripped them of all raw Earth materials just to make your miniatures. This AI was just here to make miniature reserves, so now you have mini planet. They all their raw Earth materials are in miniatures now. They gotta play by the rules.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I'm listening to you talk and I missed like half of it because I just saw Jesse start like tapping his fingers together like an evil genius. I'm like, should I be concerned about what's happening over there?
Nah, no concern here.
It's beautiful. I can see it already. We can
Beautiful,
call it
beautiful.
Warhammer World.
We'd have to name it based on like the number of subscribers we have to the system, right? So it'd probably be Warhammer, probably something like 40,000 or so.
Warhammer 40 trillion. You're an intergalactic empire, all right?
Yeah,
you
but
got
we're
a pretty
talking
big customer base.
We gotta narrow it down to like planetary counts because the individuals don't actually matter. It's just the number of planets.
Oh yeah, so like it's only Warhammer 1000, but it's 1000 planets, baby.
Yeah, there we go.
Space station's not included.
Now I'm just thinking about like a bunch of like space station people like seeing a cargo come in. It's like, all right, now you gotta pay your miniatures tax. Like, no, and they dump the minis into the space. It's a scene from
mini
the
They have to pay an exorbitant premium on shipping prices to get their space station minis. It has caused a revolution
like a real
on this
American.
station.
I got the Boston Tea Party in there somewhere. This is Boss BOSS 10, the number 10 station around like the boss system.
Station BO10N. You shattered me after the hazard story. Okay, we're flying free now. I'm delirious.
Oh, we've been flying free for we've been flying free for a while. My brain's melted.
So is mine. Does anyone have any HP left? Should we call it here before we get even weirder somehow?
Oh, you say somehow as if it couldn't just happen.
Save us all.
We'll call it here. I got 2 hours and 40. It's gonna be our second longest episode.
Yay!
Jackrabbit kept us
Thank you,
going.
Jesse.
Jackrabbit was 3 hours and 10 minutes.
Ooh.
In the end. Thank you, Jesse, for coming out.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you so much.
It's
Yeah,
been a
thank
pleasure.
you.
You're welcome. This will probably be available Sunday at some point. I usually edit these up Saturdays. So you have the like actual VOD and then Spotify, SoundCloud stuff.
No, the good little shorts, mind out. Thank
All
you
right.
so much for coming out to us and enduring our insanity.
It's a pleasure for all of us, I think. We just butt ghosted it up. Just,
I need to be taken back to a simpler time, the butt ghost time.
you need to be generalized?
I need to understand the world again, and I only understood the world when butt ghost was in my life.
Alright. Thank you guys very much for coming out. As always, my name is Force,
I'm Power, Core 2000.
and our guest.
Hey, Jesse Cox.
Because I completely forgot to do this with Jack Robert, is there anything you want to plug or talk about, Jesse?
Hey, have a good day. That's what I'm plugging. Have a great day. I hope everyone takes some time for themselves. That's what I'm plugging. Some downtime. Go read a book or something.
Especially after that nightmare of a thing that we just read, that we got the physical page in front of us to read. I'm sure people listening absolutely love that. As always, you guys are awesome. Stay awesome and have an awesome night, you awesome little lava monsters. Until next time, goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye.